blue skies smiling at me. Nothing but blue skies do I see. Bluebirds singing a song, nothing but bluebirds all day long. Never saw the sun shining so bright, never saw things going so right. Noticing the days hurrying by, when you're in love, my how they fly. Blue days, all of them gone, nothing but blue skies from now on. Be it didn't do, but you didn't do, be it didn't do, but nobody didn't do ya do da hey
It's Wednesday. It's 8 o'clock. It's the Star Trek Review Show. Where's my button? There it is. I found it. Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. Here's us. We are back with another episode of Star Trek Picard, consigning the finale, episode 10, to our vault. Yes, good evening, everyone. We're joined this evening by my co-hosts, Mazza McBob. Good evening, Maz.
Howdy, hi.
Chief Sean. Good evening, Chief. Tavikus Turner. Hey, good evening, Tavi. And the one and only G. Commander G. Good evening to you all. Oh, and of course, we do have our army of Moopsies. Moopsies. Yes, good evening, everyone. We have reached the final episode of season 1 of Picard. I've done it. I've got there. My brain hasn't dribbled out through my ear hole. I've got to the end. I thought wasn't Ruth coming on? Wasn't Ruth coming? Where's Ruth? She's not here yet.
Yeah, Ruth said something earlier, but
yeah. I was like, where's Ruth? Oh, there she is. Hey. And
with a new uniform to boot.
Here's Admiral Ruth.
Ground control.
This is the same one.
Yes.
Oh, you've won that one before. Yeah, sorry.
Good
It's
evening.
just a new background. Everything looks different.
Yeah. You're on La Serena. I see.
I am.
So this evening we are consigning to our vault forevermore, the finale of Picard season 1. Are you very excited? Let us know if you're excited in live chat for this one. It is about an hour-long episode, so my notes are a little extensive for Picard. the season 1, but I'll get through it as quick as possible. I don't know how your questions goes, Chief. I guess we've gone by the Memory Alpha breakdown, but it's a weird one tonight.
Yeah, the chapter 1 and chapter 2, or sorry, Act 1 and Act 2 are incredibly short, and Act 3 is longer than both of them put together twice over. And
it's
then,
weird.
Yeah,
It's
it's an odd one, but I just went by the standard chapter breaks.
Oh, that's good. When you're a little bit closer to your mic there, that's good. If you could just move your mic a little bit.
Yeah, I think I'm going to get a new one. This one's not the best.
There you go.
But,
Just needs to be a little bit closer. There we go.
yeah.
Let's quickly go around the panel and see how your week's been. Maz, how's your week?
I really have no news other than going to my mummy's on Monday for a takeaway. I've just been at home working, and the builders who were supposed to be coming this week to put all the skirting boards and doors on and the finishing touches thus far have not turned up. So no progress to the loft this week.
Yeah.
Hold on. A builder didn't turn up.
It's shocking. A shocking turn of events.
Yeah.
I
mean, they said they'd be here this week. They didn't say which point this week. I had in my head that it was like a week's worth of work, but it might just be a half day's work. For all I know.
We should assign that to the vault. That's such a mystery. It needs to be investigated.
That's right. Yeah.
builders that didn't turn up.
Missing builders.
That doesn't very often happen, does it? Really?
No. The other thing that didn't turn up this week was the takeaway for our family meal on Monday. So, who was put in charge of ordering the takeaway? Monteban.
You were.
Ordered us an absolute feast from the Chinese takeaway and forgot to change the delivery address, so it arrived. It arrived at my house.
Well, the first was we were going to have Thai, but that was closed.
Yeah, that was. Yeah.
And then we ordered Chinese, and it went to the wrong address.
The first restaurant I was going to order it from doesn't open on Mondays, and the second one opened, but I had it delivered to the wrong house. So,
Oops.
Yeah,
That doesn't sound like you. We should investigate that and assign it to the vault.
yeah. Chief Sean, how's your week been?
Yeah, fine. Speaking of builders, I'm supposed to get my pellet stove in this week and still haven't heard from them, and I'm going to start chasing them.
Your pellet stove's not turned up.
The engineers, the installers, didn't come when they said they would. So, yeah, I'll have to go chasing them because it's getting just that little bit nippy in the evenings, and I really, living in a house with just an open fire is a bit of a pain in the old ball sack, so hoping to have that rectified soon.
Cool.
Outside of that, there was some news at a New York Comic-Con. Section 31, the film we're all waiting for, coming out on the 24th of January. And there
So excited.
was a clip. There was I know, none of us can barely sit still in our seat. There was a clip for Strange New Worlds where they're fighting the Gorn. Looks interesting enough. And there was a clip from Lower Decks. Now, the clip from Lower Decks is going to probably be in tomorrow's episode because we're starting with a double header tomorrow. The new season is upon us. But it could be the entire season, or it might just be one episode. But it is based on the episode Parallels, where Worf goes into that fissure and all the different enterprises. There's a similar fissure, and there's a similar meeting of two different Cerritoses.
Yeah. The multiverse of madness.
A multiverse of sorts will be happening. Could it be the whole season or just an episode? We'll find out tomorrow.
Cool. G's struggling with your background.
Oh, my one, because it's moving.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I'll put another one on. Hold on.
Ruth, how's your week been?
Yeah, it's been good, thanks. I tried to go to the Isles of Scilly, but the weather failed me, so I came back. But yeah, it's been good. I've had a week or so off.
Oh, nice. So you're nice and refreshed. Tavikins, how's your week?
It's been all right. It's been an easy week. I've gotten out of work on time from Monday until today. So I'm very happy. So far I've gotten out on time. And now I count it as the majority of my work week has been positive. So even if tomorrow and Friday suck, I can go, I had those 3 good days.
Is everyone on a bank holiday this weekend? Isn't
bank
there
holiday
in Norway? Yeah. Are you
No.
off work
The
Monday?
island. Yeah, we're all working Monday.
Oh, okay. Oh, just me. Okay.
Well, I'm not because I've got Monday
you.
off.
Oh, lucky both of you.
Okay.
So-
well, we always have the last weekend in October is a bank holiday. Never mind.
G-Star. How's
Well,
your week?
can I forgo talking about my week to instead fill the space with a shameless plug?
As always, we would be remiss
It'd be me if
you
I
not
didn't do a
take-
shameless plug,
That's
right?
exactly.
Yeah, this Sunday, the G-Star Vault first live show is up. I'll be putting it up by Friday, hopefully. And yeah, so that's coming at 7 p.m. on Sunday. G-Star Vault, usual format, doing breakdowns, investigations. I just want to share with you some plans that are coming up on G-Star Vault. And that is this week's is going to be a cryptid show. I'm not going to quite say what cryptid just yet, but if you know me, you can probably guess. Then the show after that is going to be going back to the UFO sighting that I shared on a recent video. Found some new information, continued to investigate it, got some information to share. Then on the shows after that, I've got coming up some guests on the show. So we're going to have the guys from the Unexplained Files UK, Stephen Ryan, joining me on the show. And then I've got guests, the Dark Dimensions coming up, which are from Cornwall. And they're a paranormal ghost hunting crew. And yeah, so there's loads of interesting stuff coming up on G-Star Vaults. It's going to be 3 times a month on a Sunday night at 7 p.m. So
when's it
watch
start,
our community feed for updates. What?
Starts this Sunday?
This Sunday coming.
This Sunday coming. Right. Cool. I'm looking forward to it. Cool. Let's have a quick hello to everybody in live chat world. We've got Andrew. Andrew's in the house this evening. Good evening to you, sir. I'm glad you could make it for the final episode of this season. We've got Tired Time Lord. He's hanging in there. He's got his antibiotics and he's got his kids, so he's hanging out in live chat. We've got the beard, Mr. Tavykins. We've got your answers in for all the questions this evening. So here's hoping you do well tonight, sir. We have, of course, got Ruth, who's in the studio, the lovely Ruth. We got our Reg Smiler Rainbow. Smiler to the rescue. She'll be in chat, keeping you all under control. And yeah, I think that's... Stu Plum. And we got Stu Plum, who's here to take the win this evening.
Just to quickly say, though, about my week, it did start very badly because I had a hangover that just would not F off. And
you blaming me for that? Is that
yes,
my fault?
I am indeed. I'm blaming you for that. It's got to be the worst hangover that I've had in the last 3 days.
Wow.
Were you at the Putchine or something?
Wow.
Were you at the Putchine, like the moonshine?
Not particularly, but I just don't drink that much these days, except when I'm with Monty. And
I'm a bad influence.
Yes.
I didn't have a hangover, the next day.
Lucky you.
No.
You get flashbacks of Flagons of Cider when you were 14 down the woods kind of thing.
As I say, I'm a bit of a weak hit at the moment, though. So
yeah. It was those double spiced rums and cokes that did you in.
Yeah, and the copious amounts.
Monty Brown's liver's had a little bit more training than yours.
That's true. That is true. Yeah.
It knows how to do the heavy lifting.
Oh, yes. Good evening to the Workmeister as well. Our black hole of doom on the wheel is in the house. Good evening to you, sir. Okay, so I'm going to get into the episode because it's quite a big one to cover this evening. It is Et In Arcadia Ego Part 2, the finale of Season 1. It is Episode 10, production number 109. And it first aired in the US on the 26th of March, 2020. It was, as it's episode 10, the 10th episode to be both produced and released. And it's the 778th episode of Star Trek in total. That's just a crazy number, isn't it? 778th. It's absolutely crazy.
What's crazier is we're up to about 920 now.
It is. I know. I think it's 930 something now. It's like, wow, what? How can this be 778 of 930?
Well,
How can we've had like a couple of hundred episodes since? It's kind of mad.
There's some controversy over, do you include the animated series? Do you include short treks? Remember those very short treks they came out with? They were 5 minutes long. They were a bit naff. Do you include those? So, yeah, the numbering can be a little bit off. Yeah, you're definitely in the 900s.
The teleplay was by Michael Chabon. This was 8th of 9 writing credits, and he wrote the story to this episode with Akiva Goldsman. It was Akiva's 4 out of 6 writing credits, who also directed, and this is his last of 2 episodes that he directed, which was part 1 and 2, I think, of this. So yes, this is the Michael Chabon and Akiva Goldsman show. Let's see how well they do, really. Mazima Bob, have you got any other production notes you want to make note of?
I do not.
Oh,
well, that was interesting.
Okay. Oh.
I don't always. I have actually very little trivs for teaser through to Act 2, and then crap loads for 3 and 4. So again, you know, the episode itself was a bit unbalanced, and my trivia and goofs are a bit unbalanced as well, I'm afraid.
We're going to very quickly get to like the second to last act, and then we'll spend all evening on Act 3. That's the way it's going to be, unfortunately. But well, we might as well get there. So we'll go straight into the teaser. Oh, I haven't got pictures ready for you or anything, have I? Let me.
Yeah, it's going to have to be quick fingers there for the questions for the first couple of acts, because we're probably not going to leave that much of a gap before doing the answers.
I did notice in this first scene, it's quite cool seeing the ball cube on the coast there, planted in water. I thought that looked pretty cool, because I don't think we saw that shot last time. And
and we were saying last time it seemed like way too small, but this shot definitely gives it a better sense of scale than what we saw in the last episode.
It's a better sense of scale. I mean, we don't know how big the cube is.
Still too small.
We see this corner. Yeah. But I mean, we know how tiny, like ant-like, a person is on the saucer section of the Enterprise D. But we think how big the Enterprise D is next to this thing. Again, the scale don't quite match up. And the other scaling issue I thought of was the moon, the red moon. I mean, it was only seen via her, like, I don't know, what do you call it, like subconscious, vision. The meditation state. Yeah. So, but the 2 moons looked a lot smaller. This one looks here, but anyway,
they could be on an elliptical orbit, though, couldn't they?
I guess they could be. Yeah, they could very well be. But again, it was only her perception, wasn't it? So it wasn't even like, you know. Anyway, the episode opens with Narek running to the ball cube, or artifact, if you like. And like everyone else, he enters the Borg cube and finds Seven and Elnor straight away. But he creeps by them. Elnor and Seven are sat on the floor talking about how hopeless their situation is. Seven wonders why he doesn't just put a phaser to her head and end it now. But Elnor tells her that he would miss her. I don't know, this Michael Chabon just seems to have an obsession with ending one's life. I wonder if he's like a bit depressed. He's a happy guy. Like Christ. Anyway, Narek sneaks past them and finds his sister, Narissa. Or rather, his sister finds him at knife point. Her first question is to ask if he found the synths. And has he fucked any of them yet? Yeah, that is literally the first thing she asks. That's, I know. It's very Star Trek-y.
Such a weirdo. Such a weirdy pair.
Yeah.
It's like, no.
Sicky incest.
Yeah. She's like, I'll have you. Have you? No, he hasn't. But he has killed one, supposedly. Narissa thinks, well, that is progress. She takes him back to see her hidey hole.
Oh, my.
There you go. She's been waiting to show him her hidey hole for the whole... Picard, being held under house arrest, has a visit from Soji, who accesses the room with an eye scan. Jurati sees this, and it gives her an idea. Yes. I'm surprised Soji, being an android and that, doesn't realise that Jurati's right there, like watching her. Soji, pleased with
Being really
Picard.
stealthy 2 feet away.
Yeah, it's like she could hear her heartbeat, or like they got super everything, haven't they? So you think she'd realize?
Well, later on in this episode, that gets a bit inconsistent.
Yeah. Soji pleads with Picard to see it from their point of view. He gets to choose where they live, if they live, or if they die. The organics have never given them, these synthetics, a choice. So it's only right that they now destroy all life in the galaxy. Well, when you put it like that, it's kind of obvious, really. Picard pleads with her not to choose to be a monster. The monster that the Romulans feared she would become. Then Jurati sees the beacon being constructed outside. It's kind of like being 3D printed in midair, which is kind of cool. And that's the end of your teaser. That is it. Seamus.
That was a lovely teaser.
It was good.
Do you want me to do whose line is it anyway this week? I forgot to ask.
Yeah, go for it. It's also question time.
Let me get the questions in first. Well, actually, I suppose you could.
You need to your mic closer to your mouth, Sean. You're looking the wrong way.
Sorry.
It's behind you.
Okay, so let me turn that up a little. Okay, so which two colors does a butterfly landing on Picard swap between? A, green and red, B, white and blue, C, red and white, or D, blue and orange? And the bonus question: whose former quarters is Picard being held in? So who did the quarters belong to before Picard was being kept there?
It's a good question. Is it in the picture?
It's good.
I'm just guessing.
It's good.
Whose line is it anyway? Is in chat.
Right.
Oh, is it now?
The line is.
Master
I
Bob's
don't
guessed
have a
what I
home.
was going to guess, so I'm going to guess something different. I'm going to go with that. And that. There we go.
Carry on, G.
Oh, it's, I don't have a home. I don't belong anywhere.
Oh. And I don't really have any tribs and goose for the teaser. However, I think in a few of the previous episodes, we've sort of said what we think is Picard's wisdom quote of the week. And for me, it fell in the teaser here where he said, to say you have no choice is just a failure of imagination. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yes.
And yes, like you said, I quite liked the whole beacon going up quickly thing. It was pretty cool, just sort of seeing it happening at pace.
I can't remember if I mentioned it this last week, but the place where they filmed this is a wedding venue. You can book it. Did I mention that?
No, I don't think you did.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's called a
think so,
Magica,
yeah.
and you can just book it out if you want to have your wedding there or whatever. What have you?
There you go.
Anybody else have any thoughts on the teaser?
Bloody brilliant, wasn't it? Yeah, really exciting.
I had some, but mine were a bit critical. So don't beat me up, G. I'm sorry.
No, obviously, maybe I should work on my sarcasm. It wasn't coming through there.
Autistic. I am autistic. So I'm listening to you literally. I just put a joke in there about that.
You got no lipstick, did you say?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. the thing, I thought it was really weird that they're doing that Star Trek thing where you meet somebody for a few days and suddenly you're blood brothers or the deepest lovers or close friends. And they do this kind of these scenes often. And this time it's in between Seven and Elnor or Romulus. And he's like, don't do that because I miss you. And I'm like, you just met her.
But it's different for Elnor. He says everything out loud how he's feeling. So
I know, but it makes him seem it makes him seem like he is, well, not infantile, but that he's not emotionally mature. He's been around all these women.
That's
all his
probably
life.
true, though.
He's
He grew up
about-
on a commune in a convent, didn't he?
Yeah,
I mean, like, being around all these women and all this discipline, you would think emotional poise would be something that would be included.
No. See, that's why he's constantly trying to kill himself. Monty was pointing out earlier. It's because he grew up around a group of women, basically. So, I mean, who wouldn't?
I thought that was going to explain his emotional retardation, but no, it doesn't. No.
I'm just kidding. I actually went to spill some milk.
They're being brave saying this with 3 women on the panel.
I know. I'm like, do I start breathing fire now?
it's lucky we're in different places.
I just went to pour a drink on Tavi, like I was pouring my drink on Tavi, and I actually poured it, and it went all over my desk.
Oh no!
Aha, instant karma.
Yes. There you go. That's what you get. That's what you get.
Once again, the incest ick is gross. But I thought it was. I thought they did some late character building add-ins where he's like, the Zatvash washout, I found it or whatever, but he's looking all disheveled and vulnerable and pathetic when he says that. Like, I'm finally proving myself, the weakling. And I'm going, dude, this should have been part of your storyline from the beginning, because adding it at the end kind of adds a different swing to his character, because he doesn't seem put together now. And it's like, okay, this is new. Now you're that person. So those are the things that just stood out to me in the teaser.
The main thing that stood out to me is, why is Narissa there?
Yeah, I think even though I've watched this twice now, I still don't really know what the villain's plan was.
Well, the last time we saw her, she was being jumped by a bunch of Borg, and she was beamed onto a Romulan warbird, and the fleet all flew away after they ejected all the Borg into space. So, as far as we knew, Narissa was with the Borg, with the Romulan fleet. It's like, why is she now suddenly on the Borg cube? How did Narek know she was on the Borg cube and know to go find her there, exactly where she was? How did all that happen? I have no idea. Anybody? Anybody got any clues?
Well,
No.
I don't know that last bit you said, but I thought he was there to sabotage that thing that's on the screen at the moment.
Narek was there. That showed how he got there, because he followed them into the transport conduit. He's been following them the whole time.
On his
So
snakehead
Narissa,
ship.
his sister, was supposed to be with the Romulan fleet, but now she's suddenly on the planet. Doesn't make any sense.
She just appeared out of nowhere.
Well, I mean, I've got to say, I think this teaser exposed it for me, that I actually think throughout the whole season 1, these 2 Romulan characters are my least favorite characters, and they definitely bore me. And I think if you actually remove them from the narrative, you probably could still have the same story.
Yeah, it's much better just a Romulan enemy that you don't really see. You don't even need to see them.
Yeah.
They're like Jaws.
Characters are pointless. Yeah.
They are pointless to the overall story. I think they must have been like a rewrite, like after they wrote out the series, that they decided to put these in, because they don't affect the story at all, and you don't see them for like episodes at a time.
And they're ineffective. I don't understand what they're trying to do. Just find out where the planet is.
They're trying to stop the beacon being set up because it'll be the end of all life and civilization.
Right, bear that
Oh,
in
but in
mind as
theory.
being their motivation as we go through this final episode. Bear that one in mind. Yeah. So, okay. Should we have answers to the questions then?
We shall, yeah. So it was D, blue and orange, and it was Maddox's quarters.
God damn it. I knew it was blue and orange. Why did I do something different?
Good guessing.
So the answer was D. Yes. I got to check for the scores. So up on the board.
I'm also keeping score. I didn't know in case you were gonna leave out early.
We've got Andrew. Oh, okay.
So would you like to do it, Will?
You might be using completely different scoring systems as well.
Well, that's fine. You do it then, Tavi. That makes sense because I might have to step out early.
That's a good idea. Well done.
Basically, everybody. So whoever got the whose line is it anyway gets 10 points, and that 10 points need to go to Stu, yourself, Monty, Ruth, and Tyre Time Lord.
I didn't get it right. Oh, what for the 7?
For whose line is it anyway?
Yeah,
the line was I don't have a home, I don't belong anywhere, and the line came from 7 of 9.
Who's on the wheel?
You got the bonus right.
Everyone on the wheel. Are you gonna do it? Okay.
Did Ruth get it right?
She did.
Ruth.
No.
No, wait.
Oh no. You never know, Ruth. This might be strategically a good choice. You never know.
It might be.
You
So
just
got Mazza,
Often is.
Tavi, Tyre Time Lord,
True.
Monty Ban, Andrew, Underground Paradox, Duplum.
Oh, G. I haven't got G.
I think that's everybody. Yeah, G.
Okay, spinning the wheel.
Is that right?
Do 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 do. It's Massimo Bob. What a mess. First wheel of the day. Act 1. Back on the artifact, Narek grabs some grenades and tells Nerissa he is going to destroy the ship-killing flowers that fly. Yes, that is a sentence that is said. He points out that he, the family disgrace, the Zatvash washout, found Sep Chineb. So Nerissa says, go on then. If you want, go on then. She's going to stay and bring the Borg Cube's weapons online. I didn't think boys could be Zatvash. I thought that was a girl-only organization, wasn't it?
I think it's, well, they're not allowed to see the admonition. I don't know if they're not allowed to be members of the Zatvash, so that might be the difference.
You can get boys Zatvashes, they're just not allowed to see the admonition. Okay. And why?
Explained.
Sorry?
So, but why though? That's never explained.
No.
Not at all.
No, we don't know why. And also...
You have to use your imagination.
I would, and what's weird about that, you would think that, I'm not trying to be like, you would think that the male brain might be more compatible with that type of setup, because the ability to compartmentalize, and then the infamous nothing box, and I'm like, they might actually be able to digest that or just throw the
Nothing
out.
box, love it.
Yeah, where it's like, not go in there, just the nothing box. And I was just going, well, I'm not sure, all men are left brain, because that's not true. But I was like, I think I would have given it a go with the dudes to see who had the better numbers.
I mean, considering everyone but Nerissa went mad the last time they tried it, it seems to me that the girls aren't very good at consuming it either.
They clearly don't have a winning formula.
No. It's not good. It's not good. Yeah. You never know. We us men might be better at consuming stock footage You might be able to cope with it a bit more. Who knows?
Yeah, where we've got less water.
Yeah. Also, why is she staying to bring the Borg Cube's weapons back online? What's she planning on doing? I mean,
Destroying the thing again.
Destroying the thing again. What, with the Borg Cube? And that's what the Romulans are coming to do. But anyway. And leaving the cube, he's spotted by Elnor, who follows him out. On La Serena, Rios and Raffi are trying to work out how to fix the ship with the sonic screwdriver that Saga gave to Raffi in the last episode. Rios is worried it's going to eat his soul, but Raffi's lucky you don't have one. Rios tells Raffi he has to unfuse the intermix reactors, which is impossible without the replicators, which are offline. Raffi recommends he imagine a fix, and he does it, and the ship comes back to life. Literally just like fixes a hole in a tube, and it's like back. It's like you could put a plaster on that, surely. Something, I don't know. Anyway, they hear banging from outside, so they go and investigate. Back at Coppelius station, Sung shows Jurati to the workstation Maddox was using for the organic mind transfer work, and thanks her for her sacrifice. He guesses that that's what mothers do, isn't it? After he leaves, she mutters that she isn't their mother, asshole. Back at La Serena, the banging noise turns out to be Narak, who's throwing rocks at the window. Rios wonders what a photon would do to him at this range, but Narak points out that he's only throwing rocks and not the grenades he has in his bag. Narak proposes that they work together to save the universe, but in the end, it's Rios's call. And that is the end of Act 1. Question time!
Which part of La Serena's engine is fused? A. Plasma injector. B. EBS power taps. C. Magnetic constrictor. Or D. Intermix reactor. Or E. Inject me with some Brent already. And the bonus question: what did Jurati say she wasn't?
Yeah. I need a...
Oh my.
There you go.
Yeah,
What a
inject
shot.
me with some Brenny. Yeah.
The shot inside the ship, it just looked so much smaller with him throwing stones at the window. Have you got a shot? The shot from further back inside.
I have somewhere. Hang on.
I love the way in that scene he sort of turns into some
Spoilers.
sort of like Essex gangster guy. Yeah. So we've got to work together. Come on. Let's work together.
It was around here, wasn't it? Was it there? No. There. Here. No, there. I get there eventually. This shot here.
Probably the one just on the left there, third
No.
from bottom.
Middle, third up.
Middle. That one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or actually, go. Sorry, the fifth up on the right. That's the one I think actually.
Yeah.
That one.
Up one. One more up.
Oh.
Yeah. Is it me, or does it just look really compressed? Or am I imagining it?
I think it's probably just because it's widescreen. It makes a kind of fisheye lens kind of thing.
Yeah, maybe.
Just the size of him outside? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. They do a pretty nice job at compositing, really, all of this stuff together and making it look. I mean, the effects in this show is pretty good.
Oh yeah, photorealistic.
You know, it is pretty good. And you can see where the money was spent. Yeah. Oh yeah, I better answer the questions, didn't I?
Yeah, I've guessed the first one again. We'll see.
The whose line is in there as well. The line is like, if I use it too much, it's going to eat my soul.
What was the second question?
I have no idea.
What did you
So again, I didn't really have any specific trivs and goofs, and just some thoughts and some other little bits and bobs that I might have looked up. But I noticed the smoke was still coming up from the Borg crash, so it's been like a day or so now, hasn't it? So that's some fire that's going on. And you know, one of the 5 or 6 really terrible plot holes and bad writing, the magic stick. Oh, let's give them a stick where you just imagine things and it magically happens. I don't even know what they were thinking with that one. And then he said about hitting the Horgle. Yeah,
I was just going to say, if you remember the what are they called, the multipods from, do you remember those little sentient fixer robots and exocoms? Thank you. They could, you know, holographically or not replicate tools for jobs at the end of their thing just based on the job. So it has been seen before, although this is very close to magic or a sonic screwdriver, as Monty rightly pointed out. And funny enough, it looks a hell of a lot like Shooty's screwdriver, which wasn't invented at the time.
I keep thinking it looks like the Ocarina of Time from Zelda. So on my notes, I'm always putting it out like the Ocarina.
That as well.
It does look a bit like that.
And I guess, I mean, they had no point. Like when they did that, they turned this more into like sci-fi fantasy. And I'm like, okay, we going magic now. And they had, I was like, you have a city of synthetic life. You're building a golem. You couldn't say, instead of saying use your imagination, why don't you go, when you hook this thing up, it's like the synaptic scanner. So it's like an exocomp that can link into your brain, and you can kind of and give it orders and tell it, and it'll try to fix what you need done. Instead of going,
and it can use replication technology to create the right, you know, sort of thing. So just use your imagination.
Project holograms or something.
I'm blaming Sung. That's who I blame, because he taught them. He created them. So if they can't get it right, and if they can't make Tavi happy, then it's all Brent. It's all Brent, really, isn't it?
And I'm not going to argue with you there, because you can already tell that Alton is foolishness. So I'm like, sir, I love you, but sir, just put it. Don't talk. Just give me that good. Just don't talk. Okay.
Don't you hate him in that role?
As Sung?
Yeah.
Alton Sung.
That makes him a damn fine actor, right? Whoa.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Fine.
Yeah. And there's just one other thing. When he said about hitting the Horgle, I thought, is that like a phrase or a slang or something? But it is just like a Star Trek invented thing. But the Horgle is the device, and the device is what she uses to smoke the snake leaf, of which there's no sort of pictures online as to what snake leaf is. But it, you know, makes you high, and it makes you have paranoia, apparently. So, you know, very similar to other things that exist on Earth.
Yeah.
And that's all I got for that.
I think you'll find Horgle is what Voldemort hides in, isn't it?
The Horcrux.
Horcrux.
Oh yes, that's right. Not Horrible.
Okay, should we have answers to various things?
We can do that. Yes. So it was the intermix reactor, as he called it, or sometimes called the matter-antimatter chamber. It's unusually called it that, but it's the same thing. D. And the bonus question said she wasn't the mother.
Well, yep. Come on, Reagan. Yay. And whose line is it anyway? Easy scoring for you, Tavi, because only one person got it right. Really, it does pay to listen to Monty's narration.
It pays to listen to the Monty band, doesn't it?
Because he actually said, the person who said the line, which, you know, I was virtually or in my head giving him a slap. But it was Rios.
It just goes to show that nobody listens to anything I say.
Yeah, I listen, but I'm not going to change my answer
It's literally true. It's just the noise between question time.
It's just the noise. The noise between questions. That's all I am.
Really, Monty should be winning all the time. He wrote the script.
That's great. Okay,
I'm
so
not
who?
throwing the shade at the women.
Andrew got it. I'm on the wheel. Underground Paradox is on the wheel. And I think that's it, isn't it?
Oh, I'm on there.
With a bonus, I'm on there.
Are you?
A mother.
It's the mother answer, not
you're the mother answer. You're on there as well, are
Yeah.
you?
So it's Mazda, Ruth, Tavi, Time Lord, Andrew, Underground Paradox, Monty Ban. I think that's it.
Not Stuplum.
So everybody except Stuplum, I think.
Everybody
he answered
except-
the first one, but not the second one.
But
that I
Ruth
can
this
see.
time. So I just replaced Stuplum with Ruth.
Yeah,
And
that should
be all
work.
right. Wicked. Do 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 do. It's Ruth. Well done, Ruth. Just turn my phone off. Okay, so Act 2. It's another quick one. So
Goodbye, tired Time Lord. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh.
Time Lord's going.
Mazram, tired. Mazram.
Ashram.
On Rios' ship.
For him, it's very early in the day, so I don't think he's going to bed. But he's given us his marks out of 10, so that's good.
Oh,
We can
that's
plug it in
good.
later.
That's good. We've got
Did
the
I say
score.
bed? I thought I said he's going.
On Rios' ship, Narek tells
They were
Raffi-
saying Majram, which is Klingon for good night.
Yeah, good night. Yeah. On Rios' ship, Narek tells Raffi and Rios about the beacon that the synths are building, that they're fated to destroy organic life in an event called the Gan Madan. They think this sounds like a Picard-shaped problem, but Raffi can't get hold of him. Then Eleanor, who was supposedly following Narek from the Borg cube, chooses this time to strike. He appears from nowhere, holding a blade to Narek's throat. Eleanor tells him to choose to live, but Rios points out that they need Narek's help. What's Eleanor been doing this whole time? He was like literally 5 steps behind him when they left the cube. And then, so whilst he was throwing rocks at the ship and shit, was he just like hiding behind a rock? Just thinking, now's not the time to pounce. No, when he comes into the ship, now's not the time. I'm going to wait until they're in the conference room, and then I'm going to do it. I just don't.
Dramatic flair.
I don't know why he waited so long. But anyway. Jurati visits Sung in his lab, who is downloading Saga's memories to a V module for her sister Arcana. Jurati tells him she is working on the neurolaces for his golem, but is having problems accessing some of the files. Malak's always said his crypto kung fu was the best. So Sung leaves to have a look at the files, leaving Jurati to keep an eye on the transcoding rate. But once he's gone, she goes and pulls out one of Saga's eyes. Again, with the eyes. What's wrong with these people? They just can't leave the eyes alone.
Somebody on the writing crew's got some issues.
Because they pull out a Borg eye and they stab her in the eye. And we see people with things in their eyes. And then she goes and pulls out an eye. It's only, it's nearly half the episodes in this season have some eye-related torture scene in it.
It's like Quentin Tarantino and Feet.
Yes. Outside Rios' ship, they've decided they make a campfire. I love it, My God, we've got to rush because the whole of civilization's about to be destroyed by some synths. Right. Who's getting the logs for the campfire? it's time to sit around a campfire and have story time. with Narek.
You remember in The Life of Brian, and they goes, all right, we have to rescue Brian urgently. And they all sit down to have a meeting to discuss the exact method in which they get caught up in the bureaucracy of actually doing it. It's like, no, I need you to rush. And they goes, no, we need an amendment. Very much like that.
Yeah, it's like that. So yeah, he's got to tell him a story, the ancient story of Gunmadan. Two sisters, two sister Calagus, or demons. One sister, the Sebnatan, the foreteller, and the other sister was the Seb-Chineb, the destroyer. In the legend, the Seb-Chineb will blow a horn and release the Chicalagu, the uber demon. And the sky will crack and hell will rain down on all. Raffi asks him if he really believes this is the prophecy that's going to come to be, but Narek believes that this is history, and history likes to repeat itself. Meanwhile, the massive Romulan fleet of tiny ships, led by Commodore O, continues its course to Coppelius. At last! Sorry, go on, Tony.
I cannot continue what you were saying. I thought you were done. I was trying to get
At last, O exclaims, our great work is nearly at an end. And that is the end of Act 2 and another question time. Yeah, sorry, you can continue now, Tommy.
Yeah, while he was telling the history of this and his presumptions, they keep confusing me, at least, because they're like galactic level annihilation of life and everything, and then they're like, they believe that this happened before Romulans even came to Vulcan. And I'm going, wait, if they annihilated all life, where the hell did you come from? And who wrote this history so that you could pick it up, billions of years later? Because it took billions of years, at least from like Earth, and you're presuming also similar life forms. Maybe that was that in-between time where the changeling, the good ones, the progenitors showed up, and they're like, there's nobody here but us.
Yeah.
Did they miss somebody? And I'm going, but if they annihilated all life, you wouldn't be here to tell this story.
I guess it's like the doctor in Jurassic Park says, life finds a way.
It's like, why would it be humanoid, and why would it have information set out with humanoid information? Maybe that's part of the progenitors. Maybe they came in a dead spot and they were outside of the galaxy and came back, and they're like, oh, there's no one here. But I'm like, are they killing everything in the galaxy, or most of it, or just in the area they're in? It's all over the place.
You're doing the wrong thing in thinking about this stuff. You're not supposed to think about it, Tavikins. You just got to consume and move on to the next scene. Don't use your brain.
I don't think I could take Romulans seriously. I'd just be like, you guys are idiots. You know that, right?
Yeah.
You're idiots.
Okay, I'll just read out the questions very briefly. What type of module does Alton say he is transferring the memories to? A, J module, B, V module, D, X module, or D, Z module? And the bonus question, what synth does Jurati take the I from? What was the name of that synth?
What was the synth's name?
I'll give you a clue. Monty said it about 30 seconds ago.
Yeah. I did. Any tribs and goofs, Maz? Was G talking?
Sorry, I was too busy guessing more answers.
You're on mute,
You're
G.
on mute.
Oh, sorry. Sorry about that. Whose line? You know the streets will be slick with half-devoured corpses. You know the streets will be slick with half-devoured corpses.
That's got to have been what's his face, isn't it?
It's got to be him, isn't it? Narek, isn't it? It's got to be Narek, isn't it?
Let's see.
You're one from Towie.
I got the wrong synth name, didn't I? Anyway, what are we doing? Act 2. Oh, also not much. Yes, as Tavi sort of mentioned, Narek said about the story of Seb Shineb dating back from long before the ancestors first arrived on Vulcan, and the possibility that Vulcan and thus by extension the Romulans might have descended from interstellar colonists was raised in the episode Return to Tomorrow. So, this is sort of harking back to an earlier theory or factoid that was postulated in previous episodes. So from that point of view, at least there's some continuity. Yay. But yeah, I mean, the whole story of the Gammadan, it does all sound a bit implausible. I mean, I didn't really go into detail, but it all just sounds like a little bit bizarre and thing of folklore. But,
and is it just then that this folklore just happens to be coming to pass with the Soji but they actually did create a beacon and called down because they're synths and I don't overthink it is the thing. Can I just say I think O looks great as a like Romulan commander badass person, like her outfit and
agreed.
How she plays it, how she's played it from the start, just like completely straight and menacing. I think she does a great job.
Yeah, I agree. She's the best Romulan, isn't it?
Romulan.
Oh, maybe except Elnor. Yeah, Elnor is a good Romulan. She's a good Romulan. The other two, they can go do one.
Much better villain.
Yeah.
Than the other one.
They should have given her more time, like how she got away from Starfleet. They should have dedicated an episode to O and her extricating herself. Maybe the backstory of how she got into Starfleet. Some of the things she's done, like in that name, and how she got away from them and massed this fleet.
They should have cast her as a greengrocer. That way, she'd have all the time in the world.
Deary me.
Wow.
I'll see myself out.
So just that's one thing. I think there's one positive from this act was I thought she at the end there was really good.
Definitely.
Yeah. Why we had to see another eye being pulled out, I don't know. But, yeah. Okay. So we have answers to the questions then, Sean?
We shall, yeah. So it was, where were we? It was the V module, B, and it was Saga. Saga was the synth.
Saga. Yes, not Jenna, unfortunately. Jenna was the other one that's still alive. Actually played by twins. They're English twins. English girls who rose to fame in Disney and Nickelodeon as like teenagers. They were like teenage child stars playing like twins in like Nickelodeon and shows and things. Yeah, there you go. And whose line is it anyway, G?
Whose line is it anyway was the forgettable Narek, and that was who it was. So the people that got that answer right, Tavi, were Stu Plum, yourself, Maz, Ruth, Andrew, and if I'm going to accept his really poor spelling, Monty as well.
Was my spelling wrong? What did I do?
Obviously, I got it right because I knew the answer.
Oh my god! Yeah, that was all over the place, wasn't it? Oh dear.
And then for the wheel,
can Stu go on the wheel because he copied my misspelled answer my time. Sad. And there's like, no, I changed it to Saga.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Yeah. So who's on the wheel?
So
have we got everyone?
We got
Andrew's not.
Ruth. No, I put Jana. I knew that was another one of the synth names, but I couldn't remember which one this one was. So Ruth, Saga, Tunny, Tavi,
Monty did get it right, did he?
Van, And Andrew, sorry, Andrew copied me. Not Andrew then.
Time Lord shouldn't be on there either.
No, I think that's it.
No Time Lord. And Stuplum.
Oh, and Stuplum.
Oh, and G.
No, I should be on there. I got the right answer.
Yeah, you should be.
Yeah,
okay.
you're here. Sorry.
Stuplum and G, yeah.
Okay.
No me, no Andrew.
Spin of the wheel. Do 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 do. It's
Spider-Man!
I don't think you got it
Yay!
right.
It's me. I got it right. I got it.
Saga.
Hey?
Saga, yeah.
Yeah, that was right.
That's the right answer.
Yeah.
Oh yes, of course it is. Sorry. Yes. You're confusing me, people.
Anything to take points off me, isn't it? Basically. We know your game. We know your game, sir. Okay.
I'm doing terribly on points today, but never mind.
Here is Act 3, second to last act of the evening. But this is the big one. So strap in, everyone. Put your trays to an upright position and
Put your strap
on. Fasten your seatbelts. We're on. Yeah.
And you sit back in the pull upright position.
Basically, in this one act, right, is going to be probably story for about quarter of the season. Right? Everything important in this series happens in this act. Okay, by the time we get to the end of this act, it'll all be done. Right? We're going to get through
and
it
yet
all.
somehow there's another act after it.
Yeah, there's another act that's like an epilogue, but yeah, this is the act. This is the act. Okay, so we're on La Serena. The team are coming up with a plan to stop the synths and destroy the transmitter. They're going to walk back into camp claiming to have captured Narek as a prisoner. They will hide the explosives of Narek's grenades in a soccer ball and presumably at some point kick it at the transmitter. That is their plan. That is what they're going with. And whilst they're telling us this plan, we see clips of them carrying it out and getting past the guards.
A heist.
Jurati uses Saga's eyeball to access Picard's room. I didn't realise the synths were so, like, fleshy. Like, actual, like, flesh and bone type.
Yeah, well, I mean, they can pass. Well, some of them can pass for human. They're going in that direction, and yeah, they have blood.
Mucus,
and
we know that.
Considering
blood and mucus and
just considering that Saga was like one of the gold ones, you know, I just thought she was more of it. But anyway, she wakes Picard up and tells him about the beacon that they're building, and says she's here to rescue him and take him back to La Serena. In Sung's lab, Alton completes the matrix for his golem, which makes him happy. I like the way he did the same sort of pose that Data did when he was opening up the torpedo in Star Trek Generations. Ta-da! It's a nice callback. And then Saga's memory reconstruction finishes, and he is horrified to see that it was Sutra that stabs poor Saga in the eyeball. In the courtyard outside, the Scooby Gang are wondering how to get the soccer ball to the transmitter without being seen. I thought maybe just walk up those stairs, because the thing's just right above them on this plateau here, and there's a staircase there. I was thinking, why not just run up that staircase and plant it? Like, you could do that, maybe.
oh, just drop it from on top. That would make sense.
Or just lob it. Anyway, Sung pops up behind them and is like, oh, that's a good question. They're like, oh, jump scare. Picard and Jurati are now at the La Serena. I guess it's parked around the corner, right? they were just in Picard's room when he was being woken up, and now they're on the bridge. So yeah, I guess it's just 5 minutes away or something. Jurati reports that the Romulans are 7 minutes away. Crikey. Picard says how the synths have only had a couple of hermits and the fear of extermination as a teacher. But fear is an incompetent teacher. He's going to show the synths by example that living is a responsibility as well as a right. And he pilots the ships from the captain's chair for the first time, and Jurati tells him to make it so. And they take off. She said the thing. She said the line.
She did. I feel he was being a bit rude to the fear reaction because that instinct has made it so several hundreds of thousands of species now exist today because they stayed alive. So it's like, no, I'm afraid. It's like, it's the main.
Yeah, including the BG beetle.
Yeah, it's the main catalyst to survival is fear. So it's like, they're taking a lesson from survival to survive. That's a poor teacher. And I'm like, nah, it's got a lot of people alive. Kill him before he killed you.
I think if it wasn't for that fundamental flaw, that would have been in the running for Picard's memorable monologue of the day. As Maz said, the one in the teaser was better because, as you pointed out, Tavi, that one's kind of flawed. But back in the compound, Sung arrives with his prisoners at the base of the transmitter, where Sutra is giving a speech to the other synths. And Soji is building the transmitter. She's doing it like with the Starfleet computers, the holographic things, waving her hands around, moving bits to... And she's a synth. Why don't they just plug her brain in and do it all? Why does she need to wave her hands in the air? I don't know. And why is she not doing it really fast like Data used to do? She's just kind of going whoop-dee-dee-dee-dee. I don't know.
Considering how fast the structure went up, you'd think they'd be able to do the tech bit quite quickly.
And there are like a population of synths, and they spend their whole time just all stood around looking like absolute morons. Just going, huh? What's going on? While Soji does everything, I
mean, even in today,
why aren't they making the damn flowers?
Yeah,
even in the here and now, we've got cloud computing. We have blockchain. You can outsource this to outsource these large computing tasks. Across multiple units. They're all just standing there watching.
It's a good.
They could just plug into the neck and daisy chain.
There's 218 Romulan ships heading their way. There's got to be something more important they could be doing.
And at the same time, you have no idea how much they're taking in visually because they're thinking, oh, Soji's the one who can destroy everyone. I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure everyone in that crowd now knows how to set that up. So you have an entire colony that can bring down Hellfire now because they just watched her put it together.
I mean, to be honest, if this is a population of androids, they're probably stood there, if they're like Data, they're probably stood there doing like 15,000 things at the same time. They're probably, computing and composing whatever,
Sonnets and things, maybe.
Yeah.
And we find out that entire establishment, that entire settlement is all holographic, generated from the collective minds of those synthetics.
Yeah. Wookiees praises Sean for his Halloween makeup. He's glad someone made an effort on the spooky season. I think it's a bit rude.
He's a cheeky beggar.
That's harsh. That's harsh. I wouldn't say something like that.
I was messing around with my background, so I have an animated defined background now because that's what I've been doing for the last 20 minutes. So yeah, but unfortunately, in the natural enough case, when I take myself out of it, you can see that the screen works and stuff, but it's not really visible on YouTube.
Did you know the first computer dates back to Adam and Eve? It was an Apple with limited memory. Just one byte. Then everything crashed. Yeah. Good one. That's up my alley, that is. Why was Adam...
Andrew's popped a dad joke in as well. I'm sure Tabby's collating them all for
Why
later.
was Adam a famous runner? Because he was first in the human race. Yes. Very good. Very good. We got some jokes for you there, Tavykins. We got some jokes. Okay. So yes, they're building a transmitter. Soji's waving her hands in the air. Sung's hands Sutra back at the Saga's brooch, the hummingbird, and he understands that the synths needed an emotional jolt to bring them together. But he is disappointed she helped a Romulan kill her sister. So he deactivates her with a remote deactivation device. And that's the end of Sutra. That's Sutra come.
They didn't think about it very much, but I did like how this is almost an allegory to lore, and his behavior and what Noonien had to do in the end before. It's like, look, you're about to kill the whole freaking planet. You've actually summoned an entity that would end all life in this area. We're gonna have to shut you down. And at least in this one, seems like a repetitive Shakespearean brotherly or sibling thing.
If you replace the artificial intelligence that she's trying to call with the crystalline entity, yeah, totally.
Mm.
And also, if you replace the synths with the genetically enhanced that Ericsson was dealing with in Enterprise, this is almost exactly the same plot. Sets up this colony with the best of intentions, and then he has to shut it all down and realizes the error of his ways for being too ambitious.
It's like Cain and Abel, or Romulus and Rebus.
But I'd also love, just before we move on, I also love how he has a magic turn off all the androids. Magic wand, little sonic screwdriver. He can just shut them down by pointing it and pressing a button.
He should have led with that.
And he. And there they are, all trying to beat up synths, like with their fleshy bodies. Like they're synths. It's actually stupid. They're kicking them and stuff, and they're falling down. They shouldn't be falling down. That one really annoys me. But like, he just needs to point his wand at them all. They'll all just shut down. He wants the thing stopped. So just use your magic wand.
I don't know. I think his alignment only has him shutting down the one that's actually turned. The rest of them, they're free to make their own decision, and he's with the whole kill everything. But maybe what Maddox was saying when he was in that weird cloud nation, and he's like, look, we're running out of equipment and parts. Maybe they had to make these out of cheap parts, and they don't have that fancy data.
He's not, though, because he bumped into him in the hallway, and he basically supported them, and he was setting up a distraction for them. So they're working together.
Yes.
That is right.
Narek and Rios jump out of their hiding places and join Raffi and Eleanor in beating up synths by punching them in the face. Rios wants to kick his football at the control console, but is fretting about the fact that Soji is standing there and he doesn't want to blow her up. Jurati wants to know how they are going to stop 218 more birds, but Picard's preoccupied with just keeping the ship from blowing up. At the transmitter, Rios finally decides to send the bomb over to the transmitter, but Soji catches it and throws it up into the sky, and it blows up. Then she goes back to her building work. On the cube, Seven finds Narissa.
Why did he fly it within arm's reach of her?
I don't know. Of all the things he could have possibly done in this situation...
She doesn't have Go-Go Gadget arms, even though she's like a robot. Like, she can't just magically extend her arms, so he could have just sent it straight up.
Well, if you've ever played footy and soccer, it's not so easy to aim that thing. The fact that he got it in that region is impressive.
On the cube, Seven finds Narissa. I don't know why she was looking for her or whatever, or she happens to find her. Narissa claims to be unarmed, but of course she is lying. And they get into a fight. It's a pretty cool fight. On the Serena, they detect multiple warp signatures. They hope that maybe Starfleet has arrived to help them out. But no, it's the Romulans. Wow, the Romulans arrive.
Just before you move off that little fight with Seven, she doesn't shoot her. She could have just stunned her. Or maybe it's a Romulan disruptor, so you can't stun. But, it's given her a chance. And then after the chance, she then just kicks her off the platform to die. Why didn't you just shoot her the first time?
And what's with
just like have a girly fight?
What's with this lack of health and safety in lots of platforms? It's the
know.
same with Star Wars. Why is there always a bridge that you could just fall off into an abyss?
There's always a bridge.
I put in the comments, you never know when you're going to be in this situation and you get to do the futuristic kick. Scream, this is Sparta. Because when I saw her do that, I just imagine her screaming that, as she booted her off.
I wonder if they used the same set as the La Serena, just because the sort of the hole in the middle and the walkways either side look a similar size.
No, I would imagine there's a digital set extension of it to a certain extent, but I don't think it's the same set. It is La Serena is used for other things. It's used as the ship in season 3 that the changing ship, but no, I doubt it. It's possible, but I doubt it.
Also, could we just have a chat about this warbird? So, we've already determined that the main part of this warbird ship is the size of the bridge. So, it's like smaller than the Defiant. Its main hull section in the middle is just bigger than a room in width. And next to the size of like a warbird, which was bigger than the Enterprise D. I mean, this warbird's minuscule, right? It's slightly bigger than the La Serena.
There's something to be said for having a lot of small fighters instead of having, huge battle stars. You can knock out 50 of them, and it's not. But if you sink the Belgrano, that's going to cause you a huge problem.
Yeah,
if you knock out a few fighters,
sure.
plenty more.
But bear in mind, this is tiny. These other warbirds, the standard class ones, are they're fighters basically, aren't they? They're like the size of B-52 bombers.
Well, it's Romulans that invest a lot into the Scorpions, isn't it?
Yeah.
I might have been on a farm for way too long, but that ship in the middle looks like a plucked chicken to me, and you've just stretched out its arm. This is not a warbird. That's a plucked chicken.
If you've seen an angry chicken, they can get riled up.
Now, just to get really nerdy, and I'm sorry about this, but they arrive in orbit here and to face the planet, and Soji looks up and sees them all in the sky.
What? I didn't even notice that.
I noticed that. I thought, what?
And scientifically understand how that's possible, and also for the scope. So, how big are these ships?
They'd
be
be
about the
ginormous.
size of the SS. They wouldn't be much bigger.
Maybe we're looking for an Android eye.
Maybe. But they look up and they see the Romulans arrive, and they're like, oh. Yeah, anyway.
Well, at least they didn't need to use any special effects. They just took a picture of a flock of birds.
That's right. Yes. Yeah. I was like, prepare to sterilize the entire planet. Dun, 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 dun. Bear in mind that when they were warping there and they were about to get there, she told them everyone to prepare for, to destroy the planet. And now they've arrived. She's told them to prepare to sterilize the planet again. Anyway, seeing the Romulans arrive, Soji sends up the flying orchids. So that'll hold them off. Seven and Narissa continue their fight. Narissa wonders why Seven didn't just shoot herself in the head. And Seven replies because she lives for times like this. And this is for Hugh. And she kicks her over the edge to her death. And that's the end of Narissa. Seven then, hey! Where's the cheering? Hey, bye, Narissa. We hardly knew you.
Get rid of that.
Yeah.
Her brother banging days are over.
That's right. Yeah. Well, they never got started, so she died unhappy, didn't she? Unfulfilled.
She didn't have that Lannister twist to her, so she just couldn't close the deal.
There's a documentary on Netflix about a British Indian woman who got catfished, and I won't spoil it, but you should watch that.
Yeah.
See, there are some safety rails there, but just not in the place where she got.
Not in the central areas now.
So she gets kicked over the edge. Seven then deactivates the Borg weapons that Narissa was training on La Serena. So now the Borg weapons are available, and she was about to use them on La Serena. I suppose Seven can use them to destroy the Romulans. Or that's just the end of that story and we'll just forget about it. So that's the end of that story. We can forget about the Borg now. That's the end of that.
Yeah, no, she doesn't need to shoot. It's all good.
Yeah, well, it's all good. Just forget about all that. Whilst flying around the orchids, Jurati tells Picard that if he gets them out of this, they will call it the Picard maneuver. I just want to shout out for the special effects in this scene with the orchids flying about because it does look fantastic.
I love the orchids.
So much going on.
Well, to be fair, it's much harder to animate at a what do you want to call it? An organic form like that, like a sail or anything that moves. You know, compared to just having a ship flying around. I mean, it's infinitesimally more difficult. And it's photorealistic. It's great.
Yeah, it looks great. She then recalls that, oh wait, hang on a minute, Picard maneuver, that's actually a thing, isn't it? Picard confirms that, yeah, it's something he did whilst he was on the Stargazer, and it gives her an idea of using the wacky fundamental field replicator with neurochromatic interface, i.e. the sonic screwdriver, to project hundreds of sirenas to confuse the Romulan sensors. She demonstrates how that works by replicating her face all over the bridge, which, quite frankly, is the stuff of nightmares.
Should really be called the Janeway maneuver because they did it on Voyager first.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. I'm sure I've seen it because. So I thought Picard did it on the Enterprise and the Stargazer. But
in Voyager they put holographic emitters on the outside of the ship to make it look like they had a fleet when it was just them.
Oh, they did. Yeah, they did.
Yeah, that's why I remember it.
It's like season 1 or 2 of Voyager, very early.
And didn't Riker use the Picard maneuver against him in that War Games thing?
He did.
He did. And Picard came up with a defense for it on the fly.
That's how it all came up.
Actually, Riker used it against the Ferengi, didn't he?
Oh yeah, that was that's a great episode. Peak performance.
Yeah,
great episode.
Picard contacts Soji to reconsider her actions. He is going to give her something to change her mind. He's going to give her his life. Picard out. With the flowers destroyed, the Romulans are now free to target the Abomination's nest. Prepare to target the nest. It's like, Jesus Christ, how many more preparations do they need to do to blow up this planet?
Yeah, I would just give him the order, just
fire!
Start shooting. The moment you get out of warp, just start shooting. Just go for it.
But Picard puts...
know their formation.
Sorry?
They should already know their formation. It's like... I think this killed the flight scene because they stand there stalling, and you think that this is the culmination of their dogmatic insanity, that they would go in like kamikaze to the death and just start blazing. Forget talking to people.
Can you imagine these two ships here, though, facing a TNG era Romulan warbird? It would be like them facing a Borg cube. It'd be this like ginormous, massive thing, just like blah. I'm upset about the ships in this episode. They just don't do it for me. But
the two copy and paste fleets, yeah.
Although I get it, but then at the same time, if you can mount the same weapon on a small ship that requires a small complement, why wouldn't you? Rather than having a massive ship that requires thousands of people.
How can you have the power? The whole point is you can't have.
Yeah, but that was the whole concept of Defiant, wasn't it? Is that it had the same sort of power as
firepower.
Firepower as the main starship. It's small. Also, I do believe that these are meant to be Tal Shiar ships, which, as far as I always understood it, were penned to be slightly different than the main Romulan fleet.
If the Tal Shiar has this, and the Romulan fleet has more, then what were the Romulans worried about?
Because the Romulans, this isn't the Romulans doing this. This is the Tal Shiar.
I know, but what I'm saying is they didn't need Starfleet's help, then, did they?
Anything, not
it's the Zhat Vash specifically.
Dash, yes.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but even in the modern Navy, there's a thing called a torpedo boat, and it's just a tiny little boat that just has room for 1 or 2 torpedoes. But in theory, you can it can take down an aircraft carrier if it gets close enough, and all their weapons are ineffective against it. Kind of like the X-wing and the Death Star, you know, they're designed for shooting against much bigger ships. Part of the reason why aircraft carriers always travel in groups with destroyers and smaller ships around it to prevent that sort of thing.
I just find it unsatisfying. I watch Star Trek for the ship porn, and this is not doing it for me.
And they just copied and pasted two fleets. Yeah,
size matters.
I thought initially it might have been like an oversight with the sizing thing, but I mean, this sort of scene confirms it, right? They are all tiny, and they're supposed to be.
Yeah,
it wasn't just like wrongly scaled in previous episodes.
Yeah, we know how big the Serena is. It's kind of like a bus with wings. It's not much bigger than that. Yeah. Or maybe kind of two buses, side by side with wings. That's the size of it. It's not really any bigger. So all these ships are only slightly bigger than that. So
the other thing is people power, right? So if there's that Vash as a secret service, that's only going to be an elite small number of people. Sorry, if the Tal Shiar, then, and if there's that Vash is just a subset of them, is again less people. So you're not going to have people for manning like massive ships.
No. Yeah, they probably have a crew of about 10 each. But I mean, then again, the Birds of Prey all have 6 to 20 crew.
Good evening, Ian. Good evening, Ian. Welcome to the stream, sir. So Picard puts La Serena in the way. O's like, what's that ship? Apparently the Romulans don't know, or O doesn't know what La Serena is, even though she sent Jurati to be on it. O tells them to ignore it and begin sterilization pattern 5. Her favorite sterilization pattern.
What was wrong with 1 through 4?
I don't know. So yes, Jurati engages the device and creates a load of La Serenas.
La Serena.
A literally copy and pasted fleet, and the Romulans engage the fleet of Serenas.
Although I don't know if this was deliberate, but obviously La Serena, the siren or the sirens, the sirens used to call out to the sailors to get them to crash onto the rocks. So Serena was distracting them so that the Orchids could get them and crash them onto the rocks. That would be quite poetic.
Yes.
I don't know if it's deliberate, but it's clever if it was done that way on purpose.
I wouldn't have thought so.
Let's give them some credit because none of the rest of the writing's that great.
Anyway,
there's the Triforce from Zelda.
Quickly knocked through, and all this does is give Soji the time to complete the beacon, and they turn it on. And the beacon shoots its beam up through the atmosphere, and it creates a space rift in space. And what the Romulans have feared all along has come to pass, so they resume their sterilization preparations. Begin the sterilization.
You'd think they would start shooting at the portal.
Yeah, you'd think. That might be a good idea, but no, they don't.
Or the planet. They should just shoot at one or the other.
Shoot at something.
What's wrong with you?
They just keep saying prepare. When are you going to shoot something?
And they're actually
let's actually shoot at these ships that are distracting us, not the actual things that we've been come here for, that we've spent thousands of years going after. Let's shoot at some Starfleet ships.
Let us be distracted. So they're about to fire for reals this time, but then acting Captain Will Riker turns up with the whole of Starfleet by the looks of things.
Yeah, and this is the other thing that kills me. He's not an acting captain. He's a captain. That's his rank.
Yeah, he says acting captain, though.
He's not an acting captain. He's a captain.
I know, but that's not what he says, Sean. I'm just going by.
I know, but who wrote this? A monkey?
I don't know.
Yes.
And what I think is quite funny about this is actually a cut and paste like fleet of like 100 identical ships. And bearing in mind that they were just tricked by the Serena with a dupe like of holographic ships, you would have thought that they might have thought, wait a minute, Starfleet hasn't really turned up with a whole fleet. We're being tricked again. Just ignore them; they'll go away.
I do like this ship individually as a design. There is actually, I think there's 2 different variants, and not 3 different variants. There are slight differences. But yeah, it is very lazy. And the other thing, of course, talking about redress sets, it is just the Discovery bridge that Riker is sitting on.
Yeah, I don't mind them being all the same ship because, Starfleet had to rebuild, and with the shipyards being destroyed, the one shipyard that was left probably could only create the one type of ship. So they just they had to refill their like ship stock with what they had available to make, and that just turned out.
I like the idea they have a 30 or 40 ship emergency response unit that they can just crew with, and because they're all the same ship, they can train all their like engineers to work on them, you know, really easily, and they can send them out with skeleton crews and just deal with an emergency like that. So it makes sense that they have that.
Oh, is he in the States as well? Is he?
No, US.
He's in Australia.
Oh, he's in Australia.
He's in Australia for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
He's getting up in the morning just to watch this.
Have we had Australia?
Yeah,
before?
it's early morning there for him.
Crikey.
No, I was just saying we had like a semi-regular. Mohammed sometimes dials in from Malaysia, and we've also got the States and various places in Europe.
We've had
and UK,
Brazil
but I
and
don't think we've had
Portugal
Australia
and Canada.
before. We have had Brazil, haven't we? Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
Well, Australia is 10 hours ahead of us. I don't know how they do with daylight savings time. So, I mean, when we start at 8, it's 6 a.m. for them. So, not a really good time for Australians.
No. But the guy from Malaysia used to tune in at like 3 o'clock in the morning for him, wasn't it? Or something?
Yeah, it was
3 or 4
like
in the morning.
night,
What wasn't he like a security guard or something? Wasn't he on night shift?
A night worker. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. He was like watching security cameras or something. I forget.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay, so Riker tells Ho that the planet is under protection of Starfleet. He also tells her that he's aboard the most powerful ship Starfleet has ever put into service, and he has a fleet of them behind him. And nothing would give him more pleasure than to kick her treacherous Telshia ass. But he is giving her one last chance to stand down. And we get this like...
Will's looking hot in his uniform, got to be said.
God, it was great seeing Will Riker back at the command seat, ordering,
so Ian was just asking what the crew was like, and I was like, I don't know for certain, but it probably does have a full complement of crew, about 200. But you notice he only has 2 bridge members, even when they show a forward shot. The other 2 main consoles aren't being... So, it's very much a skeleton crew. They just threw the basic amount of crew they could do to get these ships working and sent them out because it's an emergency. Anyone they could find and just shove them on the ship and go. So yeah, they probably have about 30 to 50 people a ship, for just to run a ship for 2 days, it's enough.
It does look like from this shot it's going to be one epic space fight we're about to go down.
Also scale issues, that those Romulan ships are far too big in that last shot.
I was about to say, unless those are really tiny Starfleet ships.
Oh, yeah.
Way smaller than a
So Picard starts to suffer some kind of medical emergency due to his brain condition. He gets Jurati to inject him with 20 cc's of polycinephrine, whatever it's. Though, in the end, that will only hasten his demise. He again appeals to Soji not to be the destroyer and points out, if Starfleet is so bad, why are they here protecting you? He believes in her to make the right decision. While he's saying this, we get a shot of Riker watching the same message and
Sorry, if you just go back,
message.
If you just go back, you can see all the empty consoles. So clearly, a skeleton crew because there's like space for like 4 people, and they're just not there.
Yeah. So while Soji contemplates Picard's words, we see mechanical tentacles starting to emerge from the rift. That doesn't look good at all.
But aren't we all really excited to find out more about these tentacles and what they're going to be?
Exactly.
Oh, next season.
They've come from.
We got the tentacles coming out. We've got the 2 armadas about to fight. It's all about to go down. And then Soji smashes the beacon and the tentacles retract and the rift closes. And now it's all over. So the Romulans decide to head back to Romulan space with Riker telling O that that's a good call. That's it.
Definition of anticlimax.
That's it. It's all over. They're like, okay, we'll go home now.
And we haven't had the dragging out act yet, have we?
No. Riker hails Picard and tells him he heard about Picard's SOS, so he got a temporary assignment as captain of that ship. He tells Picard he now leaves this situation in his capable hands. He tells his friend he will see him around, and Starfleet Fleet then leaves the area as well. And that's it. It's all done. One last thing. Picard collapses. Soji beams Picard and Jurati to the surface. Picard tells Soji she chose not to be the destroyer. And he tells Raffi she was quite right. Raffi I was right about what? And he then dies. He doesn't clarify. He dies, and everyone cries, except Nurak, who's disappeared. He's not there. We've forgotten about him. We don't see him ever again. Forget about Nurak.
Oh, he's sneaking away to be used next season.
Away. Who knows? And that's the end of Act 3.
Next season, where they explain what the thing in the hole was and what Nurak.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, next season when they follow up on all these plot lines. Oh wait, no.
We did it. We got to the end of Act 3, so we have another question time.
Yay.
We shall. According to Narissa, what age was 7 first assimilated? I say first assimilated. Well, I suppose technically she was assimilated twice. Anyway, A6, B7, C8, D9. And the bonus question, what is used to hide the solvent grenade? So it's hidden inside something. What is it?
What is it?
It's funny how I'm doing things in a rush. It's like,
so what is it?
It can't be in metal, and it could be in carbon fiber, or this, or this, or this, but I can't actually remember what they put it in. Right, I'm going to rush through my. Oh, sorry. G, whose line?
Oh yes, whose line is it anyway? I kind of had 2 for this act, but I chose 1, and it was one impossible thing at a time. Who said that line? One impossible thing at a time.
This is going to be a complete
This is
guess.
the first whose line that I've known, or I think I know.
It's a guess from me. I don't.
So yeah, I mean, I'll just sort of rush through some of this, and I can't do some of it because of the questions anyway. I was thinking that the flowers looked massive on the Romulan ships compared to what they looked like originally on the La Serena, because we were saying before that they looked a bit small. But who's to say that they could have made bigger ones and smaller ones? Who knows? I thought it was a bit odd that Picard was saying he's going to give them a gift. He's going to give his life. And it's like, if Soji's creating a thing that she knows is going to wipe out all life everywhere,
she's going to kill him
why
anyway.
would she care if a guy who is about to die gives his life? I didn't quite get why that was going to be so mind-bendingly,
And it doesn't
mind
make
changing.
sense. It wasn't like he was sacrificing his life as such. It didn't.
It was just
quite,
kind of going into battle with
He
the
was just going into
Romulans.
battle. Yeah, it didn't quite make any sense.
I
Yeah,
wanted,
doesn't make
I had
any
wanted
sense to me.
so badly for that script to go, dude, I don't know you like that. Why is this special?
You're about to die anyway. What are you on about?
Yeah. Also, with the
Which
orchids,
makes the next bit even worse.
when we first saw the orchids, the Serena couldn't get away from it and got gobbled up by it, and yet now, seemingly, it can just fly in between them and around them and over them. It's
I did wonder that. Why? They're not an ally as far as the synths are concerned. So
No.
why didn't one of those orchids just swallow up the Serena?
I don't know.
Should have done.
Yeah.
Riker's ship, the USS Zhenghe, I think it was called, is named for a 14th century Chinese admiral and explorer. Michael Chabon specifically wanted to recognize navigators and explorers from non-Western cultures within the ship names. I thought that was, quite a nice addition.
Yeah.
Riker mentions the Treaty of Algeron, the Federation Romulan peace treaty that was first mentioned in the Defector and redefined the borders of the Federation and Romulan Empire. It was also mentioned in the Pegasus and referred to in These Are the Voyages, which was the last time that Riker was in Trek prior to Picard. Jonathan Frakes was actually in the midst of directing an episode of Discovery and took time out to film this cameo. So this is a bit of a biggie biggie plot hole, I think. So these ancient synthetic life form thingies,
Yeah.
they're so destructive that they can wipe out all life, and they're so amazingly technologically advanced that they can move stars around and stuff just to leave messages that will last for millions of years.
And they exist outside of our space-time continuum, so it basically makes them
and yet
gods.
when a synthetic community send out a beacon, they can't keep a portal open.
No, they can't.
Isn't that like a little bit silly, a little bit convenient?
But
And it's one of their own portals, you know, a bit weird.
If they did, the story would be completely different, though, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah,
yeah, that was true. That is true, G.
Yeah,
it'd be a bit of a Debbie Downer.
It's an amazing observation you've got
Probably
there.
would have opened up a opportunity for a season 2 or season 3. Like,
You see,
it would have been a bit of a Debbie Downer.
See, what they really needed is that they had to, the Master realized that the drumming of 4 that caused him to go mad initially was actually the Time Lords implanting a signal in his brain in order to actually find their way out of the time war and bring themselves back into reality. But of course, that the whole thing would fall apart when the Master got angry with Rassilon and pushed him back into the time war.
This is not Doctor Who, Sean.
Brought the whole thing to a close.
And a small goof when they're
Sorry.
being down to the
Couldn't resist.
planet. They're sort of in slightly different positions than they were, so it's a small continuity thing. But yeah, I've skipped a couple minor ones, and I think probably now most people have answered the fact that in the episode The Raven, 7 of 9 did say that her last birthday cake before she was taken by the Borg had 6 candles on it and 1 more to grow on. So, you know, that's how, you know, Narissa taunted her for being 6 when she got assimilated. I only said Borgified. I found my word eventually.
Borgified would make sense.
Quickly.
But also, why would the Romulans just give up? I mean, I know they had a Federation fleet in front of them, but everything that they've seen is just proved to them that the synths are, you know, going to be responsible for the destruction of the galaxy.
And they
I forgot to highlight this because in red, but my comment was the Federation should have at least left a few ships, right? What if even one of those Romulan ships, one of those Secret Service agents, doubled back and decided to like actually bomb the you know, the colony? What if, you know, these things that they've believed for thousands of years wasn't quite so easy to just go, all right, well, let's pack up and go home then. Like, for the fact that Riker and everybody just disappeared and left them defended by what? A man who's just died?
Within minutes, they just go, okay, that's our job done here now.
Also, the modus operandi of the, you know, the external artificial life is destroy all organic life so that it's no longer a threat. But the problem is that the biochemical makeup of the universe means in like another billion years, organic life will just come back again. It's just the chemistry in the universe will just cause it to come up. So unless you destroy the universe itself, it's just going to keep coming back.
The thing is, it
But
could have been
even
just
worse.
Sorry, go on, Ruth.
The Federation then suddenly just drops the synth ban. That's what they say, without any red tape or meetings or discussions. Finished. Just instantly.
But we can moan about that
what
happened.
Decisions are made fast and hard and stuff.
In advance.
Yes, that's an advanced moan. But it just needed a line of dialogue, didn't it? All it would take is Riker when he messaged Picard just to say, I've got to return home now because Troy needs me, but I'm going to leave 3 ships in orbit, keeping an eye on things whilst you're finishing things off. You know, that would have just been more realistic or something. You know, it just needed that extra line of dialogue, didn't it? But no, we're all off. We're out. You're on your own again.
It's very much. When the show is over, I've got my theory of how they could have fixed that, because that an end scene could have been so freaking epic.
But it seems like they had a lot of good ideas. Do you know what? We should finish the episode before making our summaries.
And the fact that Riker put himself temporarily in command of a ship. They gave him a ship after him being out of commission for like 9 years.
Yeah, but he's still not an acting captain.
After you sent your SOS.
Yeah. So
how did Starfleet get there quicker than the Romulans, who had been trying to travel there since the day previous and were using Borg conduits?
Romulans had to come from Romulan space. The Federation.
No, they left the Borg ship, didn't they? We saw the fleet of these Romulan warbirds leaving the Borg cube. So they warped from the Borg cube to get there. They must have tied up another.
No, they didn't use the Borg conduit. Only Narek uses the Borg conduit. Why did he not tell the rest of them how to use?
You saw them all warping, like in this big tunnel, like the whole fleet warping along together. Was that just? I don't know.
They were just warped.
Well, Narek didn't like message back and tell them where the Borg conduit was to use the same thing.
Right,
so he didn't tell them. So they had to do it. They do cover that in the previous episode, and they say it's going to take them 3 days to get there. And they're coming from Romulan space, and obviously the Federation. It's in Gulia 3 is basically in Federation space, so they got there faster because they're closer, pretty much.
Oh, and I forgot one. All of the guys went from La Sirena after fixing it to the synth place, and then Picard and the murderer went back to La Sirena. But that's 6 kilometers or something, right? So that's going to take a couple of hours either way.
Yeah.
And yet they didn't. None of them crossed paths, and the events that were happening in both places didn't seem to be a couple of hours. And by the time they got there, they were like, "Oh, we've got 6 minutes left." I'm like, "You've just been walking for 2 hours, and you've got 6 minutes left." I don't know. Anyway.
I would really, well, they didn't show it, but I really hope they had some sort of hover segways, or something like that you could do it relatively quickly.
But we saw them walk the first time, and the Borg cube's somewhere between. We know that as well because they went there first on the way, didn't they?
The Borg cube was in the opposite direction of.
The Borg cube was in the opposite
when they went
direction,
to rescue. When they went to go and try and find Eleanor last week, there was this whole debate about the fact that the Borg cube was in the opposite direction, and they decided to go do that first.
I thought it was silly they went there anyway, but I assumed it was on the way at least.
No, it was in the opposite direction.
Maybe all this stuff that you think should have been happening was happening, but the cameras were just too focused on Picard dying, and so they didn't show it.
Maybe.
Yeah, it would have been interesting to see how a man that close to death managed to walk 6 kilometers through the desert. He seemed to fare it fine.
He did. He's a ledge. What can you say? What a ledge. Should we have answers to the questions then?
Yeah, shall. So she was 6, which also raises its own set of problems because supposedly she went into a Borg maturation chamber for a number of years, which should have accelerated her growth. But yet she was the exact biological age she should have been, so her growth wasn't accelerated at all. So explain that one away. And the bonus question was it was hidden in a soccer ball.
How did you say she was?
6.
6. A6.
Sure she was 8.
She only looks 36 now.
But she's
supposed to be a lot older than me.
But the actress was basically her age should have been accelerated, but the actress's real life age and everything else it wasn't. So yeah.
Who's on the?
They don't have 6-year-old Borg drones.
Sounds hinky jinky to me.
They don't have 6-year-old
I'm guessing
Borg
G
drones.
got it wrong.
They put them in a Borg maturation chamber for a couple of years until they come out about 13, 14. They can actually use it for something.
That all depends, Monty, on whether you believe Sean's fake answer.
I think it was correct because that's what I put.
I'm sure in an earlier episode of Voyager they said she was 8.
Explained in my trivia that on the Raven, she said that her last birthday she remembered had 6 candles and 1 to grow on.
Yeah, but that just means the last one she remembered. It didn't mean how old she was.
Well,
the last one she remembered before being assimilated.
No, I will say the question, as I wrote it, said, according to Narissa.
Yeah, it was what did Narissa say? And Narissa was correct for what they've established in the Raven.
Whether it's correct or not, Narissa said she was 6, and that's the correct answer.
For once, G, he actually wrote a question that related to the episode and not something that you had to think about several episodes.
Oh, I love it!
I mean, it does lead. it does lean into the Raven, but it doesn't specifically mention the Raven. But
Look.
I was in that area.
Whose line is it anyway? I'm really happy to say that everybody got it wrong, except for I'm unhappy to say that Maz got it right.
It's Jurati.
It was Jurati.
Right, I think I put everybody on the board that needs to be on the wheel. Everybody's there, I think. I'm going to spin it.
Doesn't matter. I never win anyway.
Dude.
So, G, just so you know,
it tells me you're going to win this one.
About 8 years old as well.
Ah.
Oh, it was nearly G, but it wasn't. It was Stu Plum.
Did Stu even answer? I thought he was
Well done, Stu. Well done.
He
did.
did. Stu Plum said 6 and football.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Tavi, I don't think it's that we think. I think we know is what we...
I'm gonna go with that.
This Narissa woman got it wrong.
Yeah,
and it was misquoted in the TV series Picard. She was actually 8 when she was...
I remember 8 specifically from somewhere, but I had to change it for the Narissa part.
I specifically wrote the question to remove that ambiguity. I said according to Narissa. So
I mean, but I don't think you're just making it up, G. For some reason I was going 8, not 6.
Because she was left on the ship by her parents by herself, and they wouldn't leave a child at 6 on a ship by themselves, but they'd leave a child of 8, I reckon.
I think
she was never left on the ship by herself.
Yeah, they were all assimilated, but they were completely irresponsible parents. They took a 6-year-old to chase Borg.
8-year-old.
Well, yeah, Ian said the same. Like the actress looked about
12. Apparently, Ian saying 12. Anyway, should we get on to the final act? The final act of the evening. We're on to Act 4. This is it. The home straight, not just for the episode, but for the season as a whole. Later, Seven joins Rios for a drink whilst watching the sunset. Rios laments that he said he wouldn't get a Captain Daddy again. And what did he do? He went and got a Captain Daddy again. He's so stupid. Seven also regrets killing again, though they got what they deserved. Elnor joins Raffi, and they have a good cry. They don't say anything. They just sit there and cry. It's all very sad. It's all very sad because we've lost the legend that is Captain Jean-Luc Picard. Whilst everybody's crying, Picard meets Data in the Matrix. They're both wearing the outfits that they were wearing when they died, though Picard can remember his death whilst Data cannot, as he was constructed from engrams that he put into B4. Picard tells him how he was furious with him at the time for sacrificing his life for Picard. But Data asks him if he regrets sacrificing himself for Soji. And Picard does not, and neither does Data. And Picard understands. Data outlines how his human brother, Alton Soong, reconstructed him from a single neuron. Picard admits that he doesn't like his human brother. Data admits that the Soongs can be an acquired taste. Picard tells Data that it's wonderful to see his strange, beautiful face. And of all his regrets, he had always regretted never telling him he loved him. Data tells Picard that knowing that he loved him takes up a small, yet statistically significant part of his memories. That oddly pleases Picard. Data tells Picard it's time for him to leave. For him, this is not a simulation. Jurati, Song, and Soji were able to scan and map Picard's brain substrates. As he is now talking, a holodeck door opens up behind him to a blinding white light. Go to the light, Picard. Go to the light. Data has one last request. Can you terminate his consciousness once he's out? Knowing life is finite is what defines life. And a butterfly that lives forever really is not a butterfly at all. And Picard agrees to do it. Picard wakes up to find that he is alive and back in Song's workshop. Around the table, Picard asks some questions answered about his new body. It has no superpowers. Son knows he wouldn't want to adjust to anything new, being in his 90s. He fears he's immortal, but Song's like, relax, man. Relax. We got you. You're immortal. Jurati tells him that he has about the same number of years that he would have had without his brain abnormality. Picard's like, shame. I would have liked an extra 10, 20 years or so. That would have been nice. It's like the writers knew that we'd have all these questions about Picard becoming a synth, and they're like, we'll just have a conversation where we just go, look, it doesn't matter. He's still Picard. He's just a synth Picard now. But apart from being a synth, he's exactly the same. So don't worry about it. In the Matrix, Data's listening to Blue Skies whilst enjoying a glass of wine. Picard tells his comrades that Data wanted nothing more than to be a part of the human family. We are such stuff that dreams are made of. He pulls the chips, and we watch Data get old and die whilst holding Picard's hands. And that's them there. And eventually, they go poof. Whilst listening to Blue Skies, we head to La Serena. Jurati and Rios are now a thing. Seven and Raffi are now a thing. Soji's going with them, even though she spent all this time searching for her home and her people. It's time for her to roam about. Now that since they're unbanned, both her and Picard are free to roam the galaxy. And Picard says engage. And that's the end of the episode and Picard Season 1. We've done it, everyone. Congratulations. Give yourself a round of applause. We made it to the end. We made it to the end. But we still have a final question time.
I just want to say I've seen a number of memes where that Data on his deathbed, where it's like, oh, what should I tell people? Ligma what? It's like Ligma balls, and all those kind of things.
Yeah.
So it just, when I saw that shot of him lying there getting grey and old, it made me laugh because I've seen too many dad jokes of him just like getting that one little last one out. Okay, what year did Data say he said he was killed? I will say this is the events of Star Trek Nemesis. A, 23, 59, 69, 79, or 89. I know which one I choose. And the bonus, what is the promise Picard must keep? What did Picard promise to do that he then went and did?
And the whose line is it anyway, which is already in the chat, is peace, love, friendship. These are precious because we know they can't endure. He said those famous words. Do you mind if I just jump straight in with my thoughts of this episode? Because I've got to get going.
And give us your score.
Okay. So I'll give you my review first.
Mm-hmm.
First time I watched this episode, I can remember towards the end of the episode, I got quite emotional. And I think that was because at the time I was just waiting for some Data kind of closure. You know, it didn't really feel like it had covered it well in the films and stuff. So, and it was all very emotional seeing Picard die and then seeing Data, you know, have his last moments. But you know what? Watching it back a second time, this is my least favorite episode of this whole series, and I think they did an horrendous job. There's so many things that, regardless of like plot missing things, there's just things where they didn't do duty or justice to the characters very well. Even down to the small little thing that when they're both in the room in the fake environment, you know, initially Data's wearing his original uniform that he died in, but then when he's dying, he's wearing a completely different uniform that we don't associate him with. Whereas they did a really nice touch where they had Jean-Luc wearing his original captain suit, and I thought that was kind of nice, but it just felt like there was another end of it that was wrong. There should have been a montage of some of Brent Spiner Data's best moments throughout that whole process of him seeing him slowly go down. There was just things where I just didn't feel like it hit any emotional chord the second time. And yeah, too much stuff in the episode. Like, if you're going to have an ending to Picard, who's an absolute core legend of Star Trek, and you're going to have the ending of Data, you do not put it all in the same episode. Like,
in the same act.
Yes, it's just absolutely insane. It should have been across like 3 or 2 episodes at least.
Yeah, there's an hour of this episode and 55 minutes of it was filler for what we actually needed.
Yeah. So I'm going to give this, but bearing in mind some of the effect things were good, although I'm, again, extremely disappointed that they didn't use some of the budget to do some face work with Brent Spiner when he was Data in his last moments, because that whole haircut, he didn't even look anything like Data like he did in TNG. It looked horrendous. He looked like he had a Romulan haircut rather than a Data haircut. But they could have done some graphics where they put an original version of his face on, like they've done with Patrick Stewart in X-Men and things like that. Yeah.
That's not a good example.
Yeah. Awful. But, you know, I do have to give some props to the special effects. They some of them were really good. So I'm scoring it 4 out of 10. And my worst score
4
of this season.
Crikey. That is your worst score of the joint worst after Stardust City Rag.
Can I go next? Sorry, have you finished, G?
But yeah, I have finished, but I'm really sorry I've got to go. So enjoy the rest of the evening, guys. And
We haven't done the trivias and goofs yet, or the answers to the questions yet.
Yeah. Cheers, G.
I know, but I said I
have to go if you want.
It's all right.
You can go if you want, Ruth.
Cheerio.
Bye, Jean.
For me, the answer to the Who's line.
I feel like, the answer to the Who's line. Oh no.
We'll never know.
I think we know the answer, don't we?
I feel like Tavi's going to have a lot to say, so I just want to get in there first. I sort of partly agree with G, because when I watched it the first time, I think I enjoyed the series up to this point, like the first time, because I was all these new mysteries were coming in and these new characters, and I'm expecting all this to be answered, and it was exciting. This episode came, didn't really feel that a lot was answered, and then the whole Picard death scene was just, I either wanted them to just kill him off and there's no more seasons of Picard, fine, do that, or don't kill him off. You can't kill him off and have all these sad scenes of people that I don't care about anyway mourning him, and then bring him back to be the same thing but not. And it just, I remember the first time I just really didn't understand the whole thing. And then the epilogue itself was just stretched out. Let's mourn Picard, and then whoop, he's back. And
he's back, and we don't even see them react to him being back. They're all like sat about crying Picard's dead, and then we have one last shot of them all back on the Serena again, as though none of that ever happened.
And it's fine, and you can save anyone's life. So you.
Oh, it's okay. He's back.
You pick a 94-year-old and don't give him any extra years anyway, and it's all they had to do was just give him 2 more series before they killed him off with the syndrome that he had.
Yeah, neurotic syndrome. I think my thoughts.
Trips and gifts?
Oh yeah, sorry. Go on. Yeah, go.
Before I do my evaluation of the episode.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're grieving. They're having a good cry. Did they not know the plan to bring him back? What I don't understand is, are they actually mourning? Oh, he's lost his biological body, but we know that we're going to bring him back. So was it fake, or is it like they were mourning because they didn't know, and then this was an idea they came up with later?
I don't think it was a fake. I think the only person that really had any clue was Jurati, because she's the only one that was really working on the new sync thing, or the Gollum thing.
We didn't see her
talk to them about it. I think they were all generally really sad. So it just it was.
But they must have acted on it really quickly, right? She must have gone quickly. Let's get him into the whatever to transfer his consciousness. But anyway, so the episode concludes with a big conversation between Picard and Data, and apparently Patrick Stewart said that it was the highlight of the season for him as an actor, like getting back together with Brent Spiner and having that one-to-one, which is quite sweet. It's the second time Patrick Stewart's played a character whose consciousness was transported to another identical body at death. The first was in X-Men: The Last Stand, but it happened in an after-credit scene. Sorry. It's the second permanent on-screen death of a Star Trek lead captain after Kirk, although Kirk didn't have any kind of way of coming back.
It's not permanent,
Brent
though,
Spiner.
was it?
What, for Kirk?
No, for Data.
For Picard. Yeah, that's true. I mean, his body, I guess.
What about Spock?
Died. Oh yeah, he was a captain, wasn't he?
Yeah,
that's
he was a captain.
Good point. I was thinking, like, didn't Janeway die? No, but yeah, you're right. Spock.
He was the
did as well.
captain.
Yeah, it's true.
Kirk was the admiral.
Well, it actually says a Star Trek lead captain, not just a Star Trek captain. I mean, many Star Trek captains have died, right?
At the
But not one of
time,
the lead.
Kirk was just a visiting admiral.
Oh, I was about to say, what about Cisco? Did he die? I mean, again,
Cisco didn't die.
No, he never died.
Ascended.
He was taken out of his.
He became non-corporeal.
Yeah.
Isn't that dying though? Becoming
that's kind of the
non-corporeal.
same as Picard, right? His corporeal body failed, but he's now got a.
Discover's now
different
set so far in the
body.
future that they're all dead.
True. Spiner stated this would be the final time he'd ever played Data because he's getting old, blah, blah, blah. But obviously he comes back in some kind of version in season 3. This is an interesting one. So obviously Blue Skies was the song as Data was about to die. But it was a different version of Blue Skies. Does anybody know who sang this version of Blue Skies?
No, it wasn't.
Tabby does. Go on.
His symbolic daughter.
Yes, Isa Briones. She's not just an actor of Soji, she's a singer as well, and she sang it. So it's really lovely that theoretically he was being sung out of life by his own daughter. Picard quotes, "We are such stuff as dreams are made of," blah, 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 which is a line from The Tempest by William Shakespeare, a character which was spoken by the character Prospero, whom Patrick Stewart has played on London stage in 2006.
Although Shakespeare couldn't have known this, but he was absolutely correct in that respect. All the elements that make up a human body can't exist unless they were made in a star factory, pretty much.
Yeah, it wasn't we are star stuff. It was we are such stuff as dreams are made of.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But,
Stuff as dreams were made of.
But what needs, in order for like human life to exist, there needs to be like first generation stars go supernova, second generation. I think you need to get the fourth or fifth generation, because every time they break down different ways.
That's true.
Yeah.
The deactivation of Data was similar to the deactivation of HAL in A Space Odyssey. 7 of 9 and Raffi are seen playing Calto, which was a Vulcan strategy game first introduced in Voyager in 1995. 7 of 9 and Raffi become romantically involved at the end. This wasn't originally in the script, but both actresses wanted this to happen. The script writers and the various people kind of agreed to it because they said there was a bit of a spark between them in Stardust City Rag. But actually, apparently, Jerry Ryan campaigned for quite a few years to try and make 7 of 9 and Voyager potentially bisexual. And she was rebuffed many times and eventually gave up the quest. So this was an opportunity for her to kind of finally get her way with that part of the character that she always felt needed or she felt would be natural to be there.
Which is really great. But did she spend any time with Raffi in what we've seen, really?
No.
Not really, but like I say, apparently there was some spark between them in Stardust City Rag, but other than that, no, not really.
I think they had like 2 scenes together.
Yeah,
I think actually, it's great having a bisexual character. We need a lot more of those in Star Trek, but you've got to have something behind that. There's got to be some substance to it.
I mean, it's almost as if you get like to the last episode of Voyager, and then you suddenly decide that Seven and Chakotay have had this long relationship for years that we've never noticed.
That was awful.
They just shoved it in right at the end for no particular reason. I'm glad they only ever did that once.
It's a generalization, but like lesbians in general tend to get like really intense in relationships really quickly, One of my lesbian friends, I told her a joke about how what does a lesbian bring to a second date? A moving van. And she laughed her ass off. She was like, "That's so true," because she like lived with about 3 different women in the last year. So yeah, I mean, they hadn't known each other very long, but it's kind of typical for the genre.
They're middle-aged women. It fits. It fits, doesn't it? And yeah, I quite like it.
And the final one is that Narek's whereabouts is never revealed. It's never talked about ever again. What happens to him? And once again, Michael Chabon has to sort of fill in the gaps. But he says that in this case, it wasn't just, sloppy writing. He didn't actually say this. I'm paraphrasing. It wasn't just sloppy writing. Apparently, there was a scene where he was taken away by Starfleet. Well, apparently, he was taken into Federation custody, which is really funny, being that they just nicked off 20 seconds after arriving. But he said that there was a scene that he was taken away, but it was edited out. But that sounds a bit sus to me.
Why edit out?
Anyway, that's all of my trips and goofs.
One of your main characters from the entire series, one of the main protagonists. Why would you edit out their goodbye scene and just leave them?
But how could he have been taken away by Federation people if they just disappeared without even setting foot on the planet?
Riker was in charge of the fleet, and Riker put Picard in charge of the planet. So he was there on official Starfleet duty. He was effectively recommissioned for that purpose. So yeah, I guess Picard could have deputized the whole Serena crew and said, "You're all Federation members." Basically, what he does to Seven in the next season. So you can work your way around that. But yeah, if they suddenly
You're
had
just making it all up in your head, Sean. You can't just go,
it's what the writers
it's
do.
obvious
like
what
he
they
was
meant.
escorted away by Federation security, but that
I
was
just
cut
thought he
by
escaped.
editing. It's
And he's
that doesn't even
But that's
make
what the
any sense.
writers do. The writers make it up in their heads. That's the whole shit. Everything's made up in someone's head.
All they
No, he
had
said
to
the film
do
was
have to beam away.
The scene was filmed, but it was cut in editing. But that doesn't make any sense because Federation, they never set foot down there. Why would there have been Federation security escorting anybody anywhere?
I just assumed he escaped and is like hiding out on the other side of the planet or something. But again, we're making it all up.
And
in
they
our
just
own
have a
brain
little line at the bottom 2 weeks later, and the Federation security catch him.
Yeah,
I think
the point of watching and reading media, Sean, is that you're consuming something that someone else has created, so that you don't have to make the stories up in your own head. That someone who's a professional writer is supposed to deliver the story to you that you understand and make sense of.
I feel like Star Trek, with its 923 episodes or whatever it is, it's just getting too complicated for its own good, and you really need to fill in the gaps.
It's not complicated. This is just a simple person's story. It's not complicated.
Actually, that doesn't rely on any lore.
No.
We need some lower decks to lower the tone.
You'll have it tomorrow.
That's what we need. Yay!
Yeah.
As I said, I would recommend, if you have a little bit of time today or tomorrow during work, if you work from home like me, to watch the episode Parallels of TNG, because the spoiler clip for Lower Decks it will be very much based on that episode.
Great tip.
It's a good episode. It's a really good episode.
Answers to questions.
I think it scored one of the highest.
Questions.
The year was 2379, and the promise was to kill Data. And but I just, in regards to Parallels, I think it was definitely top 5 of all the TNG episodes in terms of score. When we scored it, we gave it 8s and 9s and 10s, as I recall.
I got that, and I got the jokes after you do the spin.
Who's on the wheel? Anybody know?
All right. Stu Plum, Monty, Mazza, and Tabby, Ruth.
Yeah. Was G still around for it? Was he still here?
I don't see an answer from him.
No. Take G off then. Okay, I think we probably. So Tavi, Monty, Ruth, Stu, Andrew, Maz. that what we're going with? Okay.
Yes.
Here we go for the final spin of the entire series. It's Tabby. Woo! Well done, Tabby. There we go.
It is a data episode, so maybe the luck was with me.
That's it. Yes. Yes.
Is it? Is it a data episode?
It's
got
not.
data in
It's
it.
not. It's not.
Data
But
is
he-
surprisingly in it, but it's not.
For no reason. Absolutely no reason. I have jokes for the evening. If you could make the poll, I put the options in the private chat.
Oh, I forgot about that. Okay. Yep, I will do that now.
First joke. Did you
Marks
know
out of 10 for everybody else, please, if you can. We've got one from Wookie. I don't see any from anyone else yet, so please put your marks out of 10 in chat. Is there any other final thoughts from anyone? I have a couple.
I have a couple.
But I don't know.
I do.
Actually-
Can I get the jokes out and then we can people can vote and listen?
Right, here is the poll if you want to give us the jokes.
All right, first one. Did you know the first computer dates back to Adam and Eve? It was an apple with limited memory, just one bite, and everything crashed. Second one. Did you know Spider-Man has a winter jacket made entirely of Mediterranean flatbread? It's a pita palka.
I didn't even see that one in chat.
See that one.
Yesterday, I was cleaning the car with my son. He said, "Dad, can't you just use a sponge?" And the last one.
Monty Band didn't like that one.
Why was Adam a famous runner? It's because he was first of the human race.
Okay, cool.
Between two for me, that's difficult.
Tammy,
Oh.
did I ever tell you about the time I went to a zoo and the whole zoo only contained a single dog? It was a Shih Tzu.
Oh, it's between at the
Sorry,
moment.
I'm not in contention.
It's between
Not in contention for
Spider-Man
scoring,
and
but I
Apple
just-
computers. Yeah, we'll have to see. We'll see.
I do have a bit of an opinion about this episode.
Okay.
Okay, you go for it. I've got one as well.
Should we go with Tavykins first then?
Yeah. I thought I'm gonna start. Well, I feel like the two fleets meeting each other could have been an incident of having really shit editors who put in the wrong takes at the wrong time. Sorry. And what I think should have happened is they should have started it. They should have came in just like balls to the wall shooting. And I honestly think in response to that the Orchids should have been coming up actively dealing with the fleet and causing problems. And there could have been a bit where Picard tries to come in and speaks to them. I don't think that the whole magical replicator or imaginary Ocarina of Time thing should have been making all those ships.
Time.
But I think it would have been fair if Girardi was there and she was actually sending out signals that gave them the impression that other ships were showing up on like sensors.
Yeah, I mean, they got the holodeck, haven't they? We know this thing's got a holodeck on board. And
but she didn't have to make anything appear. They didn't have to do anything silly like that. She could have just set it up where they were bluffing and saying Starfleet is sending ships, and if you check your long range sensors, you could do that. And they could have just been sending out like a mass reading to where the Romulans are going, oh shit, actually this is, and then they decide to double down and start shooting. And because of that, Soji opens up the gate, and not only do they have the Orchids to deal with and her trying to tell people to set up for evasive maneuvers to deal with the fleet and see if we can get a shot line on that colony that the orchids are basically, just blockading in direction. And then you got this portal opening up where you got tentacles coming out, just grabbing random ships and just crushing and eating that up. So it would have been so much better with that chaos. And then when they finally blasted through those orchids and managed to start aiming their stuff at that colony, they could have actually shot the actual pylon, closed it, and that's when Riker and then show up or something. And instead of Soji or jamming the signal to close that portal, Soji could have decided, they did come. And everyone's like, we'll open up the freaking portal. She's like, and that could be Patrick Stewart going, no, we came. We failed you in the past, but today let us make up for it and stand in between you the way we should have done before. And I think that would have been a badass battle, because you wouldn't have the Romulans going fire, fire, because it just would have been like full on like carnage when stuff was coming in and Starfleet chaos. And I think that would have been a better fight scene, because they're zealots. Can you imagine people going, no, I don't care if you have to kamikaze yourself into to whatever, get that thing to stop, because this is the end of the world as far as we know.
Yeah.
And I thought the whole Picard, I'm going to give my life for you. Once again, I'm going, motherfucker, she don't know you. That your life don't mean anything to her in that degree. Like, oh, you're going to do that for me? And then he tries to talk to her later, talking about, Soji, I know you. And I'm like, bitch, you just met this girl. You just met this girl. You don't know nothing about her. And so I thought that was like very shallow Star Trek. Oh, we've created these meaningful bonds in 2 minutes. And I thought it was a bit odd at the end for everyone to start bawling when Picard like passes out. And I'm like, why are you letting him die? Put him in stasis until you come up with a solution. There was no need for that. And it would have been completely appropriate for Elnor to be upset, because this is like the only dad-ish figure he has, and he might show that, especially when he's telling 7 or 9, I'll miss you. And I'm like, dude's got some attachment problems and abandonment problems. It would have been for him to be really upset to realize Picard is dying right as he's getting him back. And then, Raffi might be a little choked up, but I'm like, she's just now getting cool with him. So I don't see her bawling. I think everybody should have been like Rios, like, oh man, this sucks,
Everyone gets emotional, don't they? I mean, everyone gets emotional. I think from an audience perspective, we didn't need the dragged out scenes of everybody else that we don't particularly care about getting emotional about Picard, the person that we do care about.
Yeah.
Apart from, as you say, Elnor, because Elnor's great.
I was about to say it's good. I mean, Raffi's known Picard for years, but it was good that Rios and Seven were together, the two people who basically didn't know him, and then Raffi and Elnor were together, who were the people who have known him for many years. So at least they didn't have the insult of mixing those groups together with their mismatching grief, being that some of them had only known him for 5 minutes.
Mm.
And
I did like when Data was talking to him about the last moments, because Picard was like, you had already made this decision and whatever before I could even realize what was going on. And I thought, like, in an IT in a computer sort of way, that was actually good writing. I don't think they did it on purpose though. I think that was an accident, because you have to think Data, his mind goes a million miles a second. And for him, in that situation of death, he would have been able to realize, okay, we're screwed. You're going to die. By the time you figure that out, it's going to be too late. I've already made the decision.
Oh, actually, I did have one very minor point. They have a chat for like what seems 2 or 3 minutes. But the thing is, they're both existing within a computer. So, they can obviously like speed up to the power of processing the computer. So they could live there for 1,000 years, but only 5 minutes could pass in the real world, which isn't what happens. And even then, the conversation is only for like 3 or 4 minutes.
Like they didn't prepare the body in 3 or 4 minutes. It took like probably 12 hours.
No.
So
It's a
Well, I think
simulation. I mean,
he
they
was
could time
coming
it however,
online.
right?
Maybe when he was coming online and he was viable, it was the last 5 minutes for all we know. Like when
well,
they
maybe
started-
I suppose if they've reconstituted his consciousness, maybe there's only 5 or 10 minutes of that before they put it in the body. That could make sense. But ultimately, they could have given him 1,000 years in the computer, and with no time passing in the real world at all. Pretty much.
I thought
I've closed
Probably
off.
like Data wanted
I've
to
closed
die.
off the joke poll, so the Apple Computers is the winner. So well done to the beard, Mr. Tavikins. Well done. I think that was his joke, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I have some super brief comments about my opinion, but they're super brief. The first thing is a positive, which I feel like this episode, this is going to be like, what? I feel like it was almost a bit more Trekkie than anything else we've seen because of the sort of the philosophical and moral dilemmas that they pose. There's questions about beauty and reality and purpose and morality and what it means, to be human or finite or corporeal. And those are the kind of things that, the issues that they used to address on a week by week basis. And for me, that was a callback to, some of this essence of moral thinking and, not just people all being shitbags, it just felt like a little bit more Trekkie to me. So I think that was really, really good. But I do, like other people have said, think that's, there's a few, obviously we've talked about the story holes, but if they had a Gollum and if they had like a representation of Data whereby he had all of his memories of Picard and he was saying about, so many of my memories were about how much you love me and blah, blah, blah. Why didn't they bring back Data at some point? I mean, that seems to have been a possible thing. Weird. But more so, also, before they switched him off, if they had this theoretical simulation construct, why didn't Soji go in and meet her dad? Why wasn't there this opportunity for them to meet for the first time and get to know each other and for him to bestow like a little bit of his thoughts and wisdom to her, and maybe talk to her about lore and her understand how, like she had a bit of an evil twin and, there could have been like some rich stuff. Again, like they've covered all this stuff in one act. That could have been multiple episodes.
That would have been great.
But that just feels like such a missed opportunity.
Yeah, I didn't even think of
my
that.
thoughts.
I didn't even think of that.
It does seem like they had about 30 episodes worth of ideas, and the first 8 or 9 episodes went reasonably well. But it's kind of like that thing where you were asked to write an essay in school and you were told it was 2 pages, and you got to a page and a half, and you go, and then you go, oh right, I've hit my 2 pages. You go, and they all lived happily ever after the end. You just didn't bother writing out another page and a half to naturally finish the story where it's supposed to finish. You just went, I've run out of space here. I'm just going to give up. I really feel like it wasn't planned properly.
The thing is, I think a
But
lot of these good
I'm a
ideas.
writer, that's not how I approached those things. I would get told I'd have to write 2 pages, and I would write a short story that was 20 pages long, and my teachers would be bowled over by the narrative that I'd created, because that's what writers are supposed to do, for God's sake.
20 pages feels like 2, and you're like, that's it.
I think as well, these good ideas for
you
stories are coming out of like other people's heads, our heads, rather than the heads of the people that wrote the show. We're coming up with better ideas.
But just going back what you were saying, and you've written your 20 pages, but you said, okay, we've got 10 episodes, so you get 10 pages. So you get, where do you make the cuts? So
That's the point, though. You start with
the first 10 pages.
It feels like something they've written as they've gone along and had different writers. You can't write. When you're writing an episodic thing, you can have different writers.
The outline had to
when
be there.
When you're writing
before.
a full thing, you need to have the full thing fully formed. I mean, Babylon 5 is a great example of a story that was fully formed, like multiple series before its even inception. And the whole thing is intricately woven through. That's one style of story writing. Episodic is a different style. But here, it's like they seem to lurch week to week without having that central thread, without building elegantly the narrative that they could have done.
Yeah. And like most professional writers know you need to know what your ending is. Like they should have known where they were ending at episode 10. And I'm thinking,
wait, how many hundreds of thousands to perhaps millions of dollars did you spend? And you couldn't get decent writer. To me, I can't fathom that. All of the amateur writers, all of the writers out there that know how to do stuff, and these are the writers you got. I'm like, how much money did you pay these people just so I can be a little bit more pissed off right now?
Like that thing around the campfire when they told the myths of, this, that would have been so much better in episode 1 or 2 instead of just that flashy thingy, that made everybody go insane. Telling this Romulan myth and story and building that sort of, almost spine-tingling intrigue of the, the spooky thing that was going to come would be so much better than this flashy thing that they did that made everybody shoot themselves in the head.
Especially don't stick it in the point where everybody's supposed to be rushing around trying to save the universe.
Yeah, or they just
sit back and have a campfire.
That's just really weird. I like G's thought in chat there that why did they not save data, as they could now extract people from the Matrix and put them in other bodies?
That's what I just said.
Why didn't we just use that opportunity to save Data's life?
You wanted to know what it is to die. That was.
Well, he can die later.
Well, they
didn't have to die now.
He just wanted to feel mortal.
Well, he was mortal.
He could die.
And they could have made that body expire in 20 years for Data, like they're making it expire in 20 years for Picard. And they could have done that for him at any point.
He's kind of mortal anyway.
Made him a hologram.
And he'd get to meet his daughter, and
But I just talking about writing. There's a great book called The Writer's Tale, and it's Russell T Davies, who wrote Doctor Who for a number of years, emailing someone back and forth on all the ideas he has for the upcoming series, and it's kind of like the 2007 to 2010 episodes. And if you've seen the show, you can read back over it, or you can read the book and then watch the episodes. But how he structured it and organized it, and he used to think 2-3 years ahead of where he was, and sometimes he'd just put in little plot points, and they go, "I'm not going anywhere with that, but some other writer can pick it up later. I'll just mention a thing. I won't go anywhere with it, like the Jat Fash. I'll just mention that's a Romulan secret society, but I won't say what it is. And in 10-20 years, someone else can just pick it up, and that'll be fine." But it just, the layers within the layers he went into, it was really nice.
If as a writer you don't have an end point in your story, you end up with situations like Game of Thrones, where you have a really great story
or Lost
that then gets completely lost because the author doesn't know how to end it. So, we're never going to get an ending to Game of Thrones, the book series, because the writer doesn't know how to end it. It's mad.
Well, he's going to die soon enough, and I mean he's in his 80s.
Why doesn't he get a writer to finish it for him? I don't understand.
Well, he gave out the bullet points of what he was thinking, and they made the final season out of that.
But why doesn't he finish the books?
They made a bad, final season, because why would I talk about Game of Thrones now? But yeah, when it took 3 seasons for winter to finally come. And then it took so long for anyone to get anywhere. And then the last season, everybody moved from one place to another within no time whatsoever.
Yeah, winter came within one episode and was gone again.
And then, yeah.
A lad I used to play rugby with was one of the Unsullied in it. You can see him in a couple of shots as it happens.
Right, should we have the answer? Should we have the results of the quiz?
Yeah, let's go for it.
No, because I'm not done.
Oh, you're not?
I only had a few other points, and that was the Golem.
Can we have answers to the quiz first, and then finish your points? We do that?
Yes.
Points, then points.
Yes. The winner with the 10 points is Stu Plum with 340.
Woohoo!
Second place is Tabkins. I got 270, so 9. Mazza comes up third with 250. 8 points. Admiral Bryce with 240, 7 points. Monty, 225 points, 6 goes to him. The Beard comes in with 200, and that gives him 5. Ian with 80 points gets 4.
Is Ian on our list?
I think so.
I don't think Ian's on our list.
And
Ian.
Sean, if you don't turn that mic on mute.
Sorry, well, I'm back now.
Tired Time Lord and Andrew with 70 points. They got 3.
Tired Time.
And
hang on. Oh, gosh, what have I done?
yeah.
Tired Time Lord has 3. Who else has 3?
Andrew
has 3. Right.
G Star with 65 points, 2.
G Star with 2.
And Smiler Rainbow with 5 from Bingo gets 1 point.
1 point for Smiler Rainbow.
Yeah.
Cool.
So really quick, I'll just put in my last parts. Once again, I thought they were mixing too much sci-fi fantasy and contrivances in when Picard got his body, because they could have very easily said we had to do this quickly or we were going to lose you. So we put in the settings, and it was actually you and your personal desires that has programmed the final disposition of your body. And apparently you have a very human sense of your existential idea is just living your life out as the way it was. So instead of you going, I want to live for freaking ever, I don't know what you were thinking. And you could have had that with the back end of him talking to Data going, if we live forever, we're not anything. And that could have been something that was actually indicating however he was self-programming his own body or something. Instead of going, we just decided to make you an old man and you're going to die tomorrow. So, or 2 days past tomorrow, now that you don't have this thing anymore. And it reminds me of Time's Arrow when Data finds his head, and he's like, oh no, I'm cool with dying, because he doesn't have this existential crisis. So like this play with him in the end where he's like, I don't mind dying again, I would like to die, because from what I understood is they weren't able to remove Data from that simulation. He was so far gone that the only wisps they could create was this like holographic simulation in which he lives. And maybe it was the equivalent of someone who was in a coma and they're like, look, I'm stuck in a coma forever. The people to build my body aren't here. So just, I'd rather just let me go. And, I'm cool with that. It's not like I haven't seen my own death before with my own head in my hands. And I just thought that would have been a better way to be pragmatic about it and still keep true to the characters and reality, because Patrick Stewart ain't too far from the grave himself. So I just thought that would have been better. And like you were saying also with that campfire thing, that would have been better for Nodic's backstory at the beginning, along with him being a Zot Vash washout, because then it would have just made more sense. His motives would have been more potent and whatever. And I don't know.
Have you got your paddle ready?
Yeah, it's over there.
All right.
Don't be mean to me, G-Star. You got what you got. You did what you did. You should have watched the episode and taken notes.
He's claiming it's a fix.
Which paddle are you referring to?
Hey!
I'll pull a paddle out for G-Star and his cheekiness. He got too much cheek.
Right, are we ready? Has everybody got their scores to hand? 3, 2, 1. Boing. Yeah.
Oh wow, you went way down the list.
Oh, I went there. Just because this episode annoys me to buggery. Okay.
I respect that.
2. What was it? 6?
I feel like it was over generous with the 6
Maz?
now.
6, was it, Maz?
Yeah, it was the 6 from me. I
6
mean,
from Maz.
same. I gave it a 6, but it's like,
4,
I still think,
5.
there are amazing graphics. There's
Time
still
Lord.
great actors. All the things that are good about it are still good about it. Plus, there was that extra added element for me of being a bit more Trekkie in terms of the moral story. But just the story, the writing is just still so terribly, terribly poor. I could have gone with a 5. I mean, my scores are pretty much like really almost the same all the way through the series because it's the same thing again and again. Great graphics, great actors, poor writing.
Between 5 and 7, I think. Apart from episode 1, I think
Yeah.
it's got a 9, and everything else has been really nice.
Yeah, I loved episode 1 as well.
Yeah,
and I liked
same.
Nepenthe for
Same.
some reason,
Same.
but
It's
everything
pretty
else is a 6 or a 7.
I will say we've got a top 3 for our quiz for this season. In first place, and our champion for season 1, it's the Admiral, Ruth Bryce. Well done.
Hey, and she's
Ruth.
on the show to
And she's
accept
here.
the crown.
Tabby-kins, you'll have to pass her
also
down a
the
trophy.
audience score. Sorry, the audience score is 6.6, so rounded up to a 7, actually. A couple of people in chat give it 8.
Did Time Lord give us one?
And I asked them, Time Lord did give us one earlier. Yes, he gave it a, oh my God, I'm going to have to scroll back. Why didn't I write
While
it
you're doing that,
down?
I will say congratulations to Stuplum for getting the silver medal and Tavykins for getting the bronze. Our top 3.
Somebody might have to scroll back and find out what Time Lord gave it. I think he gave it a 5, but I'm not sure.
No, he gave it
I can
8.
only scroll back.
Was it 8?
Was it an 8?
Yeah.
Ah, right, okay. I can't scroll back that far.
I'll put it in 8 then.
But I did ask, being that we were all kind of, poo-pooing the episode, I asked Stuplum and Andrew why they gave it an 8. And they did say so. Stuplum said that he was, quite sad when Picard died. He really loved when he came back again. So it was like kind of uplifting. And what did Andrew say? Andrew said, I can't find it now. Oh, he thought it was just such a memorable moment with Picard sort of dying. He just thought it was like so, well done or what have you. So yeah, I think it was all that sort of. It was so epic for like having Captain Picard dying, like made it mega epic.
Mazram Stuplum, my 2 and G's 4 makes it the worst episode of the season. So I'm pretty glad I gave it what I gave it. So in my final thoughts, I'm going to take a slightly different slant because we've talked about through the episode all the things I don't like about it. You can pretty much guess. You've all mentioned them and we've mentioned them. But here's some extra just little minor things to discuss quickly before we finish. 1, shouldn't Soji now be on trial? Because she tried to destroy the entire galaxy. If you try to murder...
Her and Jurati.
Yeah, and Jurati. If you try to murder someone and in the end you decide not to or get stopped, you'll get tried for attempted murder.
Diplomatic immunity. She's from a different group. She's not a Federation.
She's not a diplomat. So. She's just a citizen. She's not. You can't have diplomatic immunity. You get that if you're a diplomat, and only in certain circumstances. It doesn't broadly apply.
Well, you do have to understand that this was considered self-preservation. You can't say you can't defend yourself, and the only means they had to defend themselves with this was this weapon.
Well, about 5 or 6 years ago, there was a diplomat's wife, an American diplomat's wife, and she turned out of an American military base in England and went on the wrong side of the road and crashed into someone and killed them.
It was
and
Scotland.
Just got on a flight back to America before she got prosecuted. And there was a whole diplomatic incident, but basically they decided it wasn't worth pursuing. So they just...
That happens all the time with diplomatic immunity, yes.
But she wasn't even a diplomat. She was the wife of a diplomat. She just left the country.
She doesn't have immunity. She escaped the country before she was charged. But she's not immune.
Yeah. And they probably don't have extradition treaties.
We put an extradition order to America and they denied it.
Between England and America, they do have extradition. They just didn't do it.
America denied the request because it's like a senator's wife or a diplomat's wife.
Yeah.
But yeah, she pulled out drunk from a golf club and knocked him down.
Yeah, and went on the wrong side of the road because she's too used to American rules and collided with someone head on. The actor Matthew Broderick did something similar in Donegal one year. He drove on the wrong side of the road and he killed a mother and his daughter, and he got like a fine, and that was it.
But this is Montyban's roundup of what he thought of this.
Yeah, so that was my
Sorry.
first. It's not really a roundup of what I thought. It's just the final things for us to discuss as a group. Why did Riker let O just fly away? Surely he should have said, well, all your ships can go, but Commodore, you're staying because you're charged with spying on the Federation and a whole bunch of things, misrepresenting yourself and plotting against. But she caused the whole Mars, the deaths, all those Federation people that died on Mars. Yeah. She was behind it. What? He had an opportunity there to detain her.
I'm guessing that they're going to pursue her.
Yeah, but if they try and take her off her flagship, they have to like blow up 218 ships to get to her. So
not if it was the Great War that
or asking the Romulans to hand her over because of her clear war crimes would probably be a better option than trying to get her to hand herself over in front of a fleet of 218 ships when he's trying to defend the planet.
Again, I'm just saying, it's us making that up in our brain boxes. We should have had a scene where they've said, you know, I'm not going to go after you right now, but look over your shoulder because we want you for these murders, for this terrorist attack. We're coming after you, you know, or something, just to let us know that they haven't just forgotten about it, which we know the writers have just forgot about it. It's like, well, I don't know. Yeah,
like, oh, you're the reason why they don't let Romulans or anybody in the Starfleet halfway. Remember that I think it was the Drumhead episode? And I'm like, see,
one of my favorites.
Yeah, I'm saying this is why that dude got what he got, because your foolishness.
I will say one thing about the Drumhead. The guy Spencer Garrett who plays Crewman Tarsus is active on Twitter, and he's a very famous actor. And literally, anytime I see the Drumhead mentioned, I tagged him, and he's done like hundreds of roles since, but it was his first acting job, and he still gets a little giggle that people still talk about his episode.
But like,
saying they just try to avoid a war.
Yeah, but should they be avoiding a war? The Romulans destroyed Mars and killed like thousands of Federation's personnel by manipulating the synths. Surely that is them declaring war, isn't it?
Well, they could pursue them, but it would lead to tens of thousands more deaths. So
they just
what
get
do
away.
You do?
Okay.
It's possible that Riker's fleet wasn't prepared to do that. As you saw, they had skeleton crews. They were probably there to defend, but not to go into full war mode engagement.
No, I get why they don't do it there, but the fact that it's just left, you know. Should Jurati be on trial as well for her part in the whole thing and for killing Maddox?
No, she was brainwashed.
Yes. But that comes up.
That comes after the trial, though, doesn't it?
And if she can prove insanity or something, then fine.
Yeah.
But she should still be taken into custody and charged with murder, like premeditated, cold-blooded murder.
Yeah. And wouldn't it have been nice to have just in a future season or something to see that happen and take place, and then maybe.
Maybe she gets exonerated or something.
She gets exonerated.
Whatever,
she goes back to the Daystrom Institute, and she's now free to use synth technology to create cures for brain diseases that require synth technology that would have saved people like the Riker child. And
you can
then
call back to the stories
you would have had that whole
and make it a nice circular.
That would have been a nice part of the epilogue of this episode, like what they went and did next. You know, she got exonerated. She went back and created some cures and was able to continue her research and really take that whole story around. But no, just left. And that would have also paid off the whole Riker thing, you know, the fact that we went and saw the Rikers and they were just sat there growing tomatoes and creating pizzas. I'm sure Troy and Riker would have torn up the galaxy looking for synths trying to cure their son's life, you know. They know there's Sungs out there creating synths because, you know, Sungs can't help
Like
themselves.
I know the Federation is a big place, and it takes like 3 weeks at at starship speed. Like in a shuttle, it'll take years. But I mean, there's places outside the Federation. If your child was dying, there's nothing you wouldn't do.
Riker has a reputation in Starfleet as being like the man with the contacts, and is not afraid of getting rough.
He can be a little bit sleazy if he needs to, and get into the underworld if he has to.
I'm just, it just doesn't seem like Riker and Troy. It just seems a real disservice to them that we had that, left it at that, and then had no future payoff.
I was like, I mean, Monty, if in your own case, you've got kids, and someone says, okay, your child is going to die of something. There's a cure, but it's illegal.
Well, you do anything.
Would that stop you?
No, of course not.
Would it really stop you?
No.
I mean, if you lost your house, you lost your job, you were homeless.
Doesn't matter. None of it matters.
No.
Exactly.
You wouldn't even care if you lost your life.
No.
No.
That's it. Yeah, you don't care. No. So it just seems, I don't know.
But they were just like, oh, it's illegal, Yeah. I mean, I said that back in that episode. It was ridiculous. But even now that the Federation, okay, we're going to legalize it again now. Like Picard and Troy and Riker should be, I don't know, suing them for damages at least for making a legal decision that caused their child to die and then just changing their mind about it a few years later.
Picard says Raffi was right at the end, and Raffi was right. She was a mad person this whole time, but she saw the conspiracy theory in Starfleet and knew that there was something going on behind the Mars attack, and everybody poo-pooed her ideas and shunned her from society type thing. But in the end, Raffi was right. It would have been nice to have some payoff for that at the end of the season, like a bit like Picard's Fox News interview like earlier on. Like they could have like interviewed Raffi and gone, so Commodore O was a Romulan spy. You've been saying all along that there was corruption at the very top of Starfleet, and you've been proved right. How do you feel? And then maybe have her son see this interview and go, my God, look, my mum was right. And maybe him reach out to her and say like, oh, Mum, I forgive you. I saw you on TV and thank you for saving the galaxy, and the galaxy my son's going to be growing up in. And do you want to come see him at some point? And, and then like just have that end and payoff, like she'd been through all this shit, lost her friends, lost everything. But now she's got a girlfriend and she's proved right and got her family back, and I don't know. Just think this epilogue could have done more for some of the characters.
If they'd hired writers, I don't know who the hell they hired.
Yeah. Anyway, that was my couple of.
There's a great scene in Star Trek Beyond. Well, it's not the best, or not Star Trek Beyond, Into Darkness, and there's the guy who plays Mickey in Doctor Who. His daughter's sick with a disease, and then Khan comes along and gives him his magic blood to save him. But he has to go into Starfleet Section 31 headquarters and blow it all up. And he tears in his eyes, just drops it into water and explodes the whole thing. But he does it because he loves his child, and he'd rather blow up himself and the whole place and 50 people in it rather than leave his child suffer and die.
Yeah, I'm not going to blow up a block of building with 50 people in it.
Yeah, well, you have to be.
I'd sacrifice my life, but
Yeah, not like 30 or 40 other people. Yeah, okay,
that's terrorism. Just plain out terrorism. Yeah.
Well, the guy who played that role has some problems in his past. Let's leave it at that.
Anyway, that was it. Anybody else have any thoughts? That was mine. But it wasn't really my thoughts on the episode.
We said it was going to be a quick one, but we're here on 3 hours.
Yeah, sorry.
No, we didn't. We said that they were epically long acts that had so much crammed into them.
Yeah, it's very uneven.
It was just the penultimate act was everything.
But I think Maz, I think you said it, and Tari to an extent as well. There were some Star Trek moments in this. There was some morality and some interesting questions, and the effects were good. And I think all the acting is top notch. I think that
whole series. Effects are great.
Great actors, great effects.
Characters.
Yeah, great.
Just really poor storylines.
All the ingredients was there, but if the writing is the recipe,
I love the sets. The sets are so much better than
we've
ever seen, before in Star Trek and stuff. And
And all the
stuff.
all the CGI is photorealistic. You don't have to like fill in the gaps or make excuses for it. You go, no, it's not representing something. This looks as good as real life. Not Data's de-aging, but all the ships and stuff, for the most part, you really can't tell that they're not, in there. They're fantastic, and they only get better from there. Like season 3 is even better.
I don't really care about effects anymore. I think we're in a post-effects.
When you see it in like 1080p or 4K full perfect, and it's like every pixel is just every bit of shading. It's just it's fantastic.
Once again, the orchids are just. I love the orchids. It's one of my favorite techie thing that they brought out in this one.
Yeah.
So
that was one of my 4.
I knew it was all about the orchids.
Yeah, that was one of my 4 from my scores. One of those came from the orchids.
From the orchids, one from the acting, one from
my beard could protect the Federation.
CGI.
It would have if they'd have seen you on that ship. Be like, nah, Riker's got the beard, but nah, this is a real beard.
I've been roped in to playing Santa Claus for Smiler Rainbow's school.
You said it was a maybe. Has it become a definite now?
The obvious choice.
I was like, oh, go on then.
That means he's definitely not going to cut his beard.
No, so I definitely can't cut it before Christmas. I've got to keep it for Christmas now. It's a definite. Is that a yes? Yeah, that's a yes. All right. Smiler Rainbow's super excited and chat now.
She's got it recorded now.
It's
said it.
Get it on camera.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Very cool.
Really excited. I'm really excited.
I guess this what would be awesome if this entire series were just rewritten and put into comic book form. Be like, no, this is what should have happened, and just let people enjoy that, because now the comic books and everything have separated, because Data was supposed to have been revived in B4 and all this other stuff, and it never came to pass. But I'm like, how about we just take this and y'all fix it and just do the comic book so everyone can have a little bit of peace. Just
they literally
like,
maybe you should, Tavi.
Earlier in the show, they shown that they still had B4 at the Daystrom Institute. She pulls out a drawer. There's B4 sat there, and then later in the series, we have Data's consciousness in the Matrix thing. And it's like, oh, we've got all the ingredients. Kill him. that's where they're going to go. God damn it.
In the first episode, where there's a photo of it's a painting of Soji, basically. And Picard goes, Data always wanted a daughter. I was like, yeah, Data had a daughter. What are you doing to us? They eventually acknowledge it later in the 3rd season, I think, because of fan backlash. It's like, you're just going to forget about it? What?
But now, next week, we start season 2. So we can forget about this absolute disaster.
Forget about everything.
And maybe, bearing in mind we've all seen it already, maybe we'll get some answers to all these questions we still have rattling around in our heads. And
did you say not me, Tavi? Have you not seen it yet?
I stopped watching it season 2 because I couldn't. It was no.
It's going to be really interesting to see your take then. So
Brendan,
in our group chats or whatever, let's not do any spoilers for Tavi.
No.
It'd be really good to get her sort of fresh person's perspective.
Yeah.
Well, the only spoiler I'll say is there is a little bit of Brent in season 2. That's all I'll say.
I know that.
Who knows when it's set, right?
Yeah, I know the the basic
storyline
where Q is dying and he's got to send Picard. They got to go back in time, or it's going to turn into the Confederacy.
Oh, you know
they
it.
go back in
Sorry,
time
Andrew, or anybody else, if there's any spoilers here.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's been out for years. It's like.
Yeah, you should know it.
You should know it.
They go back to the modern day because it's cheap to shoot, because they don't actually need to change anything. I'll see that.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll get that. So what's the first episode called, Sean? Do you know the first episode?
I have it here in a second. The Stargazer.
Oh, the Stargazer.
Funnily enough. And there are scenes amongst on the Stargazer. Starfleet must once again call on legendary Jean-Luc Picard after a member of his former crew, Cristobal Rios, Seven of Nine, Rafi Musiker, and Dr. Agnes Girardi discovered an anomaly in space that threatens the galaxy.
I wonder what this new anomaly is going to be. So exciting, something new.
Something new that we haven't seen in the previous season at all. It's going to be something completely different.
All right. It's exciting.
Our
I'm excited to see what that's going to be.
Right.
Yeah. Andrew's only a few episodes ahead. So he can't wait for us to catch up so we can continue the series.
That's good. So he's watching it fairly fresh. That's good.
Fairly fresh. Wow, it's fresh in his head. Yes.
So before we clock off or anything, I just wanted to put forward, I don't know if Ian's still watching, but just as a general chitter-chatter, if we've got a couple of minutes, Ian has suggested he's got a, what do you call it? RPG, like Dungeons and Dragons type thing of TNG with a Deep Space Nine extension that he's got. And he's talked about the possibility of us doing like, a D&D, version or recording it or something. I think we'd have to work out the logistics of it, but he said there'd need to be some preparatory thing where we work out the characters or something. And then we can sort of, kind of do it online. I don't know how it would go or how we would do it. But I think I just thought I'd bring it up as a possible idea. It seems like a good idea. I don't know, if we'd have to have a look at a board or what we'd do with cameras or quite how it would work. But
if it's like D&D,
I just like get a view from the people in chat as to whether they think
we just need virtual dice, really. I think that's all we'd really need.
Yeah.
And you have like a dungeon master or something, right? Somebody who sort of controls the narrative.
Well, they control the narrative, but I mean, it can be completely in your mind. They can also have a kind of a map that they talk you through, but the dungeon master would be responsible for that. So it could be a virtual map.
See, I've never played before, but I know Monty Ban has.
Well, you know the way
have you
when
played D&D before, Ruth?
Yeah.
Well, you know the way when
you have. Yeah, and Sean, you have.
Not a lot, but I have. But do you know the way when you?
So I'm the only one who hasn't then.
But you know the way when you read a book, you generate an image of your mind of what the book is describing. But instead of reading the book, someone is just talking to you and telling you what's happening.
It's basically what we've been doing for half of this season.
Because I've seen them. What's it called? Big Bang Theory.
So you don't actually need a board or a map or any of those things.
But he says he said he's got like the thing for the TNG with the DS9. So it strikes me that there's something he already has. I don't know what he has.
You can have those things, but there's an element of luck, so you need some sort of, as I said, virtual dice where you have to roll dice to decide probability on how encounters turn out. But yeah, you can have those elements. They are, you can layer them up. But at the simplest level, it's almost like controlled meditation. Someone just talking you through what's happening. So yeah.
So I don't know whether we would do it as something that we would do and then kind of like film in a non-live way and like edit it and post it, or whether we would do it live, whether we would replace one of these episodes, or whether we would do it on a different night. Or whether we would do it maybe at the end of Picard or something, or beginning of DS9. It seems like I thought we might do it in between series of Picard, but obviously we've reached the end of the series and Ian's in Australia. So maybe we do it between the third series of Picard and DS9 or something. I don't know, but anyway.
It would probably have to be a weekend night, because if Ian's in Australia, we'd have to start at 9 or 10 p.m. to kind of suit his time.
Well, he's only there for like 2 weeks. I don't think we're going to.
Oh, that's all right. Oh, sorry. I missed that.
Yeah, he's just on holiday. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think.
So anyway,
I'd be up for
it, essentially, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That's cool.
And my name Monteban comes from when I started playing D&D. When I started playing D&D, I was a warlock, like a sort of dark sorcerer, like warlock. And I called my character Monteban. My D&D character.
And then you carried it over into World of Warcraft, didn't
And
you?
then we stopped playing D&D after a couple of years when World
you
of
had one of the
Warcraft
oldest
came out.
guilds.
Yeah,
that
and I created a
existed in World
warlock
of
in
Warcraft.
World of Warcraft, created a guild, created a warlock and named it Monteban. And yeah, I've just been Monteban ever since. From D&D, my D&D character. So there we go.
Very cool.
Played a lot of D&D.
Oh, there was another thing. I did put it in the group chat, but I just say it out loud. In London now, there is kind of an experience, if you like, you know, similar to what an escape room is in the terms of it's something you do together. But it's like a bridge command simulator, and there's like 9 different sorry, what's the word? Consoles, controllers. So 9 different roles. So there's like a damage control, there's engineering, there's a captain who organizes everything, and they all sit at desks and things, and they have a whole immersive experience. I don't know if I'll be going there anytime soon, but it sounds like a pretty cool thing to do. It's basically modeled on Star Trek, but it's just that little bit different that, you know, that they don't get sued.
Yeah. That sounds good.
But they have the full simulator experience of running a bridge crew, and not in VR, but in like physically in the same set, in the same space, where you take on a space battle. And as I said, you have someone piloting, you have someone on weapons, you have someone on damage control, you have someone on power, someone on communications, you have a captain, the whole lot.
That sounds wicked. I'll have to look that up. I haven't seen that.
Yeah, I put it in the group chat.
Anyway, right. Well, thank you, panel, including G-Star, who's no longer with us. Thank you to everyone. Remember, G-Star.
Sound a bit that way.
G-Star is live on Sunday. Don't forget to go join him. Thank you to everyone in live chat who's joined us, including Ian and Andrew and the Beard, Mr. Tubbykins, to my Wrench Smiler Rainbow, to the Wookiee, to Stuplum, to Ruth, who's also in the studio, and to I think I can't remember anybody else that came along. Thank you to anyone else that watches this after this live's gone out. Please put your comments in the comments if you want to tell us about what you think of this episode.
There's 433 subscribers left to hit 1,000.
Yes, that's all we need.
And if we get there, Monty will shave one half of his beard and he'll put half in place for a month straight.
Maybe
just
not.
Put it straight down the middle. If he gets there by the end of November.
I will say that I'm going to go check the Argyle scores now, because I forgo watching an Argyle match for this stream this evening.
Wow.
That's how dedicated I am to you guys.
Big that is for you.
There you go. So I'm going to go check the results, see how we done, and everyone have a good evening, and we will see you back here again next week, next Wednesday at 8:00 UK time for another Star Trek review show.
And sorry, just before you go, I'm just going to say the clocks change. So if you're on other times outside of the Europe,
is that this weekend?
Maybe different time next time.
Is that this weekend?
Yeah, this weekend.
Oh, right.
This weekend.
Don't forget the clocks turn back.
So we may not be at the normal time for the next 2 or 3 weeks, depending where you are in the world.
But we'll still be 8 p.m. UK time.
Indeed.
8 p.m. UK time.
Cheers, everyone. Good night.